I was about to say,
He
sorry.
blundered. He blundered.
What happened? Whoa.
Yeah, that's
But-
insane. It's insane.
One, was that it? That's a crazy move. Rook H1?
Now, he missed this rook a2, obviously. I mean,
Yeah,
That's
why are we leaving the A file? We shouldn't be leaving the A file. But I would very seriously consider the move bishop g4 followed by bishop takes f3 and e6.
Exactly.
Just saying, I will now, all out play a Slav. I don't really think this is a Grunfeld anymore. And in these structures, this light squared bishop is very often the piece black worries about the most, because if you don't trade it for a knight, for instance, in particular, of course, you would like to trade it for the bishop on g2, but I don't think anybody will let you do that. So if you don't trade it for the knight and white, let's say, if you play, the most obvious example would be if you play e6, which is maybe not such a stupid move strategically. Yeah. You have to start wondering where this bishop is going now after h3. Mm-hmm. Occasionally, it starts running out of squares. Just in more general sense, if you want to play, let's say, e6 and then perhaps queen e7, rook c6, rook fc8, that bishop is the one piece you really don't need on the board, because it just kind of gets in the way, which is why I'm very drawn to this idea of just actually wasting two tempi to trade it off for a knight.
Exactly. I agree as well. I mean, the bishop tends to be a little bit of the fifth wheel on the f5 square. And one thing I've always kind of worried about, if I play e7, e6 too early, knight on h4, knight goes to h4.
Mm-hmm. So that as well, yeah. That's very much a problem.
So something tends to be a little bit off center there. And by the way, feeling that, I think, intuiting what we've been discussing, Sasha did play the move bishop g4. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live coverage of the Chessable Masters. We are in the final day of the quarterfinals. Let me introduce our panel. I'm your host, Yasser, Seirawan, Anna Rudolf, hosting all of our social media channels, and Grandmaster Extraordinaire, analyst and commentator who's just simply brilliant, Peter Svidler. Welcome to you both. And Anna, what's trending?
Welcome, everybody, and thank you again, as usual, Yasser, for the kind words. I'm thrilled to be here on day 3 of our quarterfinals, and welcome all of you on Twitch, YouTube, and Chess24. I'll be monitoring those 3 chats and bring you updates from our social media, as well as our learning moments of each round. Learning moments, talking about that, as usual, Grandmaster Peter Svidler. How are you feeling, Peter, about today's final day of the quarterfinals?
Feeling good. I'm very excited. And yesterday, I felt we mentioned Hikaru's incredible resilience and his fighting spirit and his general bounce back ability. One of my favorite long English words in the pre-show. But still, winning on demand against Ding, and particularly in the fashion that he won after sort of dominating the rapid portion and then making a somewhat inexplicable mistake in a drawn rook ending, losing that, and then losing the first blitz game with white. I think very, very many people would have just been very deflated by those events and would have found it difficult, honestly, to play the remaining blitz games with any kind of energy. And not Hikaru. Hikaru played a very, very nice game with the black pieces, won it on demand, and then proceeded to win the Armageddon game. So I was once again very impressed by his play yesterday. But today is a fresh slate, so of course anything can happen. But I think Hikaru probably starts as by far the happier of the two.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Peter. And again, let me just set the table for everybody. Today, we play our third and final day between these two players. 3 of the 4 semifinalists are already into the semifinals. There you get a chance to look at the bracket. The winner of this match goes up against Magnus Carlsen. Not a great reward, but certainly getting to the semifinals is what everybody is aspiring for. And this particular quarterfinals, I want to say, has a lot at stake, not just the prize money, which is actually quite substantial. But Anna, break it down for us why the winner of this match in particular, it's so important for the players.
It is extremely important for various reasons. The top 4 finishers of this event will automatically qualify to the next stage of the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour. As you can see, after the Chessable Masters, the next event coming up in July is the Legends of Chess. And all the semifinalists from the Chessable Masters will automatically be participants of the Legends of Chess event. So that's one a very important prize, additional prize for our top finishers, as well as the grand finale. And the grand finale will have of course, the 4 winners of the Magnus Carlsen Invitational, the Lindor's Abbey Challenge, Chessable Masters, and Legends of Chess. But in case a player wins more than one event, let's say Magnus Carlsen wins a second one, for instance, since he still has a chance, of course, to double it down. Now, in that case, we have a scoring system for finding the 4th participant for the grand finale in August. And as for that standing, so far, the player that is doing the best in the overall scoring is Hikaru Nakamura, since he was the runner-up in both the Magnus Carlsen Invitational and the Lindor's Abbey Challenge. So Hikaru has so far the best chances. But in case Ding Liren wins today, now that will give the Chinese Grandmaster really good chances too. So because of that scoring system, Hikaru and Ding have an additional prize to play for, and that could be a potential invitation to the grand finale as well, apart from the Legends of Chess.
Well, thank you for that explanation. So a lot on the line. Of course, 4 players were eliminated in the preliminaries. They each got 4,000. 4 players are going to be eliminated in the quarterfinals. They'll get 8,000. 2 players will be eliminated in the semifinals. They'll get 15. And then big money for our overall winner and runner-up. 150,000 in total prize money is what the players are playing for in this Chessable Masters, and $1 million overall prizes on the Magnus Carlsen Tour. So a lot at stake today for the players, and the players will be playing, as usual, 4 rapid games. Each rapid game will feature 15 minutes per side, plus 10-second bonus. Player needs to score 2.5 or possibly 3 points, and they will win this quarterfinals and seed themselves into the semifinals. In case the matches are tied 2-2 after 4 rapid games, then the players will play a pair of blitz games with a 5-minute plus 3-second time control. And should those still be tied after those, a single Armageddon game. The player who gets black in the Armageddon game will be the player who did the player who can choose which color they want to get in the Armageddon will be the player who ranked highest from the preliminaries. So that is setting the table. Now I want to just bring in Peter a little bit more on this one, because winning on demand, Peter, is one thing. But winning on demand with the black pieces, then winning on demand with the white pieces, which Hikaru did yesterday, is simply extraordinary. And does that momentum carry over today, Peter?
Well, we'll see soon enough, I guess is the correct answer here. We don't really know what the psychological state of the players is, but it's very, very difficult to imagine Hikaru not being extremely happy with the way he handled the pressure yesterday after that very difficult sequence of games 4 and 5, the final rapid game and then the first blitz game. The final rapid game really did seem like he was handling himself very, very well, and then I guess just a momentary lapse of concentration there ended up costing him when draw and the victory in the set overall was very much within his grasp. And then he lost that first blitz game, in which he also, I think, at some point must have been doing quite well. But he seems to be very good at refocusing himself in a very, very short period of time, because the breaks between games here are 10 minutes at most. And I know from my own personal experience how difficult it is to wipe the memory of the poor game you just played entirely from your mind to be able to play the next one like a human being.
Mm-hmm.
I failed at that on a number of occasions, honestly, and it's remarkable to see how well Hikaru deals with that particular aspect of playing high-level chess.
Thank you, Peter. You and me both. And over to you, Anna. What's trending on our social media channels?
A lot is trending as usual. Yesterday was the birthday of one of our participants, Anish Giri. And first of all, of course, he celebrated by winning his match, his semifinal match against Alexander Grishuk. That was the first step. And then he had this lovely birthday celebration with his family, his wife Sopika Goramishvili, and their baby boy Daniel, the 26th birthday of Anish Giri. Once again, happy birthday to Anish. I think he made this birthday a very special one by beating the three-time World Blitz champion Alexander Grishuk and qualifying to the semifinals. One person that also went on to congratulate Anish was Magnus Carlsen himself by highlighting and he duly converted it, talking about Anish's game 2 against Grishuk. Love the game, wonderful technique, hashtag happy birthday, hashtag no jinx. So that was Magnus Carlsen's tweet right after round 2 between Anish and Alexander Grishuk. Anish later on thanked Magnus for his kind words by saying, "Please keep up these tweets, sir. They may bring you less likes, but it is better for the karma. Hashtag thanks." I believe after that hashtag used by Anish, he did not notice that this particular hashtag comes with an emoji. So Anish added afterwards, "Lol, I don't know why the heart emoji appeared in the end. I swear it wasn't me." Hashtag awkward, to which he got a couple of responses, as you can see also from our author of yesterday, Grandmaster Alex Cholovich, pointing out that Anish also mentioned he did see Dingliren waking up. So there's a lot going on outside the chessboard too. The bromance of Anish and Magnus makes it to the media as well. This was Leon Watson's tweet about an article that appeared in the Indian Express about the battle on the 280 characters on Twitter. Now, these are the updates from the little Twitter war between the world champion and Anish Giri. We do enjoy their banter. And of course, we will be back with more updates, not only on their excellent tweeting skills, but also on their chess moves later on.
Thank you, Anna, for that. The bromance blooms eternal. This is fantastic. But I also, sorry, Anna, I wanted to get one more thing from the social media in our question of the day. Everybody wants to win these Chessable chess courses, so you got to tell them how they can do it.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Every day we have a question for you guys. Today's question is the following. Will the quarantine hurt developing players, AJ, no OTB chess, or help them? There's lots of time to study. Tell us about your opinion by using the hashtag #StudyChess on Twitter to let us know about your thoughts on this. And every day we do choose a tweet as the winner that will receive the course of the day. Yesterday's winner is Matthew. Congratulations, Matthew. And his tweet was about which is the hardest area of chess to improve. He said, "The hardest area to develop when trying to improve at chess is improving your intuition. When it comes down to it, sometimes you just have to go with your intuition when it's not possible to calculate every variation. Strong players can just feel it." Hashtag #StudyChess. Congratulations again to Matthew. And if you want to join Matthew by winning also a Chessable course, then do answer today's question on Twitter with the same hashtag #StudyChess.
Thank you, Anna, for that. I'll retrospectively answer for myself about what is the most difficult area of chess to improve. For me personally, it was and always will be the middle game. You can always work on your openings. You can always work on your endgames. There's so many tools for those two aspects of chess. Calculation, you can work. I know how, with studies, how to improve my calculative ability. Instinct, that's interesting. But for me, it was always the middle game. That was the tough one. You wanted to improve your middle game because then you can outplay your opponent. Peter, your retrospective on yesterday's question, what was the toughest part of chess for you to improve upon?
That's always a difficult one because they all do come very much bundled together, and it's, I think, difficult to separate. But I do remember that when I sort of started playing in the strong tournaments in my sort of breakout period in the mid 90s, when my rating shot up and I started getting invited to good round robins. I grew up being almost exclusively a dynamic player, mainly I think due to not having good opening preparation. I was brought up on somewhat dodgy openings, and that is a very sink or swim type of upbringing, because if you don't learn quickly how to create tactical problems for your opponents when you're already much worse, let's say with black in every single game, you end up not scoring very many points. And then I got to the level where putting it bluntly, I was found out, and I started playing against people who I couldn't really trick tactically anymore, and they would just absolutely destroy me in positions requiring positional understanding, good technique, decent understanding of endgames. And then I had to sort of make not the switch, but I had to incorporate all that and improve at all that more or less on the go, because I was a young and promising player. I wasn't going to suddenly get disinvited from tournaments, but the results started dropping off. And I think for me, that transition from somebody who could understand how to attack from a reasonably early age and nothing else, pretty much, to a somewhat all-round player that I hope I am today. That transition did not come easily for me.
Absolutely, lots of challenges. And Anna, over to you for more social media updates.
I just wanted to highlight, in case our viewers missed it, we do have every single day Banter Blitz shows. And yesterday, on Anish Giri's birthday, it was none other than the world champion, Magnus Carlsen, who was taking challenges on Chess24. So in case you missed the live action, do check out the video on Chess24's YouTube channel. It's not every day that you can see the world champion of any sport or any game speaking his mind and explaining his thought process while playing chess against our viewers. Today, during the day, right before our broadcast started, it was the former women's world champion Hu Yifan taking on challenges. That was another epic show. I was listening to Yifan myself as my warm-up for today's broadcast. And today, as you can see highlighted already, Monday, Vladislav Artemyev will be taking on challenges again. And tomorrow we have Alexander Grishuk, on Wednesday, Timur Rajabov, and on Thursday, Pentala Hare Krishna. So make sure you do check out the Banter sessions and try to challenge these amazing superstars, obviously.
Thank you, Anna. And of course, those are for premium members. That you can become a premium member. You can get a 40% discount on your membership and challenge these great players. Big shout out to Hu Yifan, who I noticed as we were just coming on was finishing her Banter Blitz, and she looked like she was having a lot of fun. Nice to see Hu Yifan back in over the chessboard. I want to put it like that. And also, Anna, I wanted to say that we have a new sponsor in Chessable, and the Chessable master sponsor is giving $150,000. A lot of people are, of course, not too sure. Who is Chessable? What is it that they do? Update our viewers who may be late to our broadcast about Chessable.
Absolutely. We are very grateful for Chessable sponsorship. And if you don't know, this company, the platform of Chessable, was founded by David Cramley and chess YouTuber John Bartholomew, that I believe many of our viewers know and follow. And it started out with David's basically personal project of improving his way of learning openings. He wanted to have an efficient way of memorizing his openings by building an algorithm that would help him practice more the opening moves and variations. And based on that personal project from 2013, Chessable grew out as from a project to a company, launched in 2016, and has become one of the pioneers as a learning platform, initially for opening learning. Now it also covers obviously the middle games and end games, and none other than the world chess champion Magnus Carlsen has courses on Chessable too, as well as our crew. I I launched the courses. Cyborg, Anna, and Yasser and Peter are working on an upcoming Chessable course too.
That is true indeed, Anna. I think I'm behind you and Peter is behind me in terms of getting our Chessable courses published. Also, I want to say a little bit different about this broadcast. We want to make it more educational, more fun, more interactive. So that is why Anna is our bridge. If you have any questions or queries to ourselves as well as the players, we want to get the players, the winning players, on our broadcast to answer your questions. So make sure that in the chat you inform Anna about what questions you may have. Now I'd like to turn it over to Peter for a second to say, Peter, for me, in the first 2 days that Hikaru and Ding were playing against one another, this London system as black, with bishop f5 and h6, black was scoring really, really well. Oops, and they're off, Peter, sorry.
They are off, and I noticed that. I didn't mean to interrupt you by suddenly clicking on the diagram, but this is, I kept on mentioning it for the first 2 days that they played against each other, but I went through their games prior to the show today, and this is actually going to be the first Catalan, which is quite interesting considering that I'm pretty sure Ding played the Catalan against Hikaru in at least one of their previous online events this season. But Ding doesn't go for the main line. I think they discussed the main line previously, at least in 2 games, maybe even 3. But Ding instead goes for the move Queen b3 after Knight of 3 castles, a very, very rare move. I will admit I know absolutely nothing about. Queen c2, I have some idea of. Queen b3, just no, none whatsoever. But Hikaru does not seem surprised, and he blitzes out c5, c takes d5, queen takes d5. A logical continuation, I'm sure, offering this trade of queens. White takes on c5, and Hikaru takes on b3 and goes knight c6. So far, so good. Both of them appear to be reasonably well booked up here, which is not that surprising in case of Ding, because clearly that was his preparation for today. Somewhat more surprised in case of Hikaru, not because he doesn't have opening preparation, but because, as I mentioned, Queen b3 is a very, very rare move.
Exactly.
I don't believe I've seen it very much at all, and you normally just don't expect this to happen. But I think what Hikaru is doing is just perfectly healthy, and
when you said, Peter, that this was the first Catalan, for me, that was a real surprise. I mean, like, what, really? I mean, because for me, Ding Liren has a very deserved reputation as a darn good Catalan player. So it was like, what has he been doing avoiding Catalan?
He played a couple of English openings, and also perhaps we would have had Catalans, but Hikaru on a number of occasions was in a must-win situation with black, so he played the Dutch. So perhaps those 2 games, at least those 2 games in which Hikaru played the Dutch against Ding, could have been Catalans, if not for the fact that Ding was leading in the set, and Hikaru did not feel like the Catalan would offer him enough of a winning shot, which I think is extremely fair. Catalan against an experienced Catalan player is going to give black close to no winning chances whatsoever. It's very, very solid, at least out of the opening. Of course, in a blitz game, you know, the fact that it's completely equal out of the opening is less relevant because you still have to play, but it's understandable that he opted for the Dutch instead.
Very good. And turning our attention to the position at hand, I mean, I want to use the half-open A file for the move knight b6, Peter, but is that going to bring white any joy?
I'm not sure. I've also been looking at that, but I think black is reasonably comfortable here. I suspect he is not all that worried. The bishop on b4 is quite a solidly placed piece. We don't really have much in a way of prospects for this bishop on c1, and I think white needs a couple of tempi here for any hopes for an advantage. I don't know if you, let's say bishop e3, and black needs to make some kind of a really non-committal move, maybe like, I don't know, a6. A6 is not bad, but I suspect there might be sharper attempts. And maybe, like, let's say if we imagine white going knight g5 and black actually continuing to help him by chasing the knight to good squares and then taking. This position I'm beginning to like for white.
Right.
It's probably still fine for black with precise play, but I'm beginning to like this. Rook fc1 will actually create a threat and so on. And knight b6 has been played, so we'll see. We'll see if my assessment is correct. I will also mention that knight takes e8 is not a given. You can make an argument for knight c4, attacking the pawn on e5. I'm not sure if it's a good argument, but you can make an argument.
Yeah, I had a kind of a idea fixé there. Actually, now I'm looking at it, knight c4 might simply be better. There is a line, and talk about the material imbalance that might occur after rook e8.
I was going to mention that as well. It's very nice that you bring this up. Knight e8, we have this tactic of knight takes e5, knight takes e5, knight takes e5, rook e5, and bishop f4. Mm-hmm. And very importantly, I think bishop d6 is completely unplayable because of rook fd1. And because black does not have a luft for his king, he just loses material because he cannot really keep the bishop on the diagonal due to the back rank issues. Therefore, after bishop f4, the skewer more or less forces black to play knight d7. But I couldn't quite come to a definitive conclusion about this. Rook fd1 still looks very attractive. Black has, but I think maybe rook e8 is fine. I thought black absolutely had to play f6 here to stop rook takes d7. And after f6, I was very curious about the move bishop h3, attacking the knight on d7 and still keeping both of black rooks on this hook on the 4b8 diagonal.
This looks like a nice initiative.
But rook e8 might be good enough because I think this forces white to take. And let's say we take on a7, black goes knight c6. This is probably a very playable position for black. But all of this is now irrelevant because Ding did end up taking on c8. Yeah.
Well, irrelevant or not, that material imbalance there, because it just looked like you were getting a rook and two pawns for two minor pieces. Man, I got to tell you, that's a big controversy today. I mean, is it always position specific in your mind, Peter, or do you have preference?
I think it's possible to draw some conclusions. Like some things I think will hold true regardless of what the position look like. For instance, one thing I always try to get across when I discuss endgames, let's say like this one, to come back to, or maybe actually come back to this endgame. I think this one maybe it's not that immediately obvious, but generally speaking, endgames with this material imbalance are much better for the side with the rook and pawns if it's one rook against 0. Whereas 2 rooks against 1 are generally quite good for the pieces, or at least better for the pieces compared. Because I think it's important that you have a rook on the board to counter at least some of the activity your opponent's rook can develop. So if you imagine in this position somehow, let's say if this happens,
okay,
I think white is instantly slightly happier about life. This particular endgame is still not good for white because one of his 2 pawns that he has with the rook is a doubled pawn on the b file, which is really not going anywhere. But if we imagine this this pawn is not on b3 but on c3, this one probably is slightly better for white. And let's say this one, I would say, isn't. But once again, this is a very, very general thing, which I do believe to be true, but it has sort of limited utility. Mainly, you have to look at, do the light pieces have good stable squares to occupy? How active are the rooks? Do the rooks have targets in the sense that other weak pawns to attack and so on? Are there good files for the rooks? So you do have to judge it on a case by case.
Wow, that just feels like an incredible educative moment, if you ask me, folks. Current position, Peter.
Yeah, we were here a moment ago. We were discussing this position, and I did play 7a6 here, not just because I was looking for a passing move for black, but also I suspect it's hanging. I suspect you can take on a7 if black does absolutely nothing in this position. So it might be a relevant move we have to discuss. I'm still very tempted to go, let's say, knight of 6 d5 and try to justify our play tactically, but knight d5 might just not work. Move
take
by
a look
move.
take a look at that pawn sacrifice. Munch.
Yeah, apart from bishop a7, I'm also trying to calculate knight takes e5.
Okay.
I don't think it quite works out. After knight e3, knight takes e6, knight takes f1. Sadly, that bishop is still alive. Sadly for white, I mean.
Right.
That bishop is still alive, and we don't have the knight e7 check tactic, so we have to take it, and the knight actually escapes. And then I guess black is reasonably happy with life. I suspect it probably ends up being close to equality. Maybe even not that, because we cannot take on a7 because of rook c1 check.
Whoops.
And once again, back rank. And we also, I think, cannot take on b7. Maybe we can. Yeah, maybe this is how we equalize. We take on b7 because rook b8 appears very strong, but actually rook takes a7 defends everything. But yeah, probably white is not forced to play a line which appears to lead to mass simplifications. Bishop takes a7 is very critical now. I was looking at something like e5, e4 here.
Okay.
This is how I was trying in my mind to justify playing knight d5, but this is very committal because I'm trying to play e4 and then perhaps support it with f7, f5 after, let's say, knight g5 or knight h4. But if that doesn't work out for me, if somehow this structure collapses, I will have given up a healthy pawn on a7 for nothing. So I'm really unsure about this.
Yeah, the play there doesn't look to be enough. Knight d5, the desirable knight d5, as you say, just might be unfortunately unplayable. The alternative, I think you mentioned the alternative, right, Peter? Do you
I think, yeah, a6 is probably the move you make if you don't want to think too much, so to speak.
Is there a consideration, for example, b6? You mentioned knight g5, and just because of the, I don't know, double pawns after knight b6, knight g5, this, let's say knight d4, just let's say I'm groveling for a draw on bishops of opposite color. Am I taking too many liberties?
I'm not entirely sure. This might be playable, but just on general grounds, I really dislike the idea of robbing my knight on c6 of its support on b7. Knight g5 is not forced. Something like rook fc1 might happen, and Hikaru actually goes for something very concrete here. He's played e5, e4, a move I considered but was very unsure if I want to allow knight g5, because now this pawn on e4 is under severe pressure. I guess he has calculated rook f8 and determined that he will be able to hold it. And Ding quite quickly agrees with him by playing knight d4.
Knight d4. So could we just investigate what Hikaru might have been calculating? e4, knight g5, bishop a7, h6, I'm assuming is what Hikaru...
Yeah, if you force white to play knight h3, I assume you're not that unhappy. I don't quite know how he was intending to continue here, but it really doesn't look all that threatening. We can maybe even afford to play g7, g5 here, just to make sure that knight doesn't come back anytime soon, and then play for positional compensation aimed mainly at exploiting this really horribly placed piece.
Fair enough. I mean, one bad piece in the position can ruin the whole position. So knight d4 was Ding Liren's choice.
And bishop c5 played very, very quickly by Hikaru. Also understandable, because after knight d4, we were definitely threatening knight takes and rook takes a7. And if you take on d4, your entire position is now on fire. Bishop takes f6, bishop takes e4 is a huge threat. a7 is still hanging. It's pretty much unplayable. I think you cannot really afford to do that. And after bishop c5, it's a lot healthier, because I think making sure that the pawn on e4 survives is absolutely priority number one here for black.
Yeah, the pawn on e4 especially contains, if you will, the bishop on g2, and it can Ding play for an advantage here.
I mean, the most direct way to continue here with white is, of course, simply to take on c6. Intermission on e3 is impossible because of knight e7 check, so we have to take on c6, white takes on c5, takes on a7. I assume the plan here is to play rook b5. I'm not entirely sure, but that would be my initial reaction. Probably Hikaru is intending rook b5. And I'm looking in this position, and I'm trying to figure out what I think about, let's say, rook fc1, rook b3, rook c2. Because if you add 2 moves to this position for white, I think e3 and h3, this might become somewhat awkward for black, because the pawn on e4 is a constant source of some worry, maybe not major worry, but some worry. Let's just make a couple of passing moves here, yeah, just to illustrate what I mean. If we have this position on the board, the rook on b3 looks quite beautiful, but it's not currently attacking anything. And in particular, if I'm in time to play bishop f1, bishop c4, and then drive the rook away from b3, perhaps play b3 myself, black's position will require some attention, because he's a little bit tied down to the protection of these two pawns. But because obviously white will not be allowed to make 5 moves in a row here, some kind of rook d8, d1, b1 counterplay probably could be quite strong, starting with rook d8 immediately and threatening that incursion.
Gotcha. My first impression is things look a little bit even Steven in the most direct route. But no, having said that, well, I don't see a real alternative for white to this direct route, Peter.
Yeah, I think he's gone for it. I assume, because I mean this is winning some material for now, so this must have been the first thing he checked. So the fact that he paused for about 3 minutes, considering I'm guessing knight f5 as a second option, maybe is the obvious second option here, but he ends up still going exactly for the position we discussed. You can also play rook a3 now and say, I'm not obliged to give back the b pawn straight away. But black will develop a lot of counterplay here with either rook d8 or perhaps rook c8 is also playable. Let's say rook d8, rook c1, g6 or something like that. And then the rook lands either on d2 or on d1 and starts creating issues.
Now, that was a very important moment, because I always had a principle, Peter. You take the last 2 rook moves back for just a second, if you go back 2 ply, I automatically, as black, want to play the move rook c8 and give my opponent the d file. I'll take the c file, I'll give my opponent the d file, and the reason is because the knight on f6 covers d7.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it's probably healthier to do it this way.
Exactly.
Just
if
to make
possible.
sure.
All just being equal. Yeah.
Just to make sure that rook d7 is never a threat. I would tend to agree with you here. And Ding, as you can see, has not played rook a3 yet, so
just rook a3 in principle looks kind of, well, I don't know, too defensive, too defensive. I liked your rook c1 a moment ago much better in rook b3.
But I think the issue with rook d1, rook b1 counterplay is quite significant. Let's say we go rook d8 here, and let's say white plays, I don't know, bishop f1 or h3, pick one.
I like bishop h3 actually.
Bishop h3, okay. That is actually quite clever with those intentions. Yeah.
Right. And I'm thinking that if I can get, it's really funny. Play move h6. Just be cooperative for a moment. Bishop c8 and b6. Be very, very, very cooperative. And now, exactly. Bishop a6 and rook c7 and. You mentioned
actually bishop a6 is maybe stronger. Yeah, bishop a6 with that threat.
Exactly. You mentioned just lining up for the f7 pawn is really good for white, Peter. This looks promising.
Yeah, but interestingly, Ding does go with the quieter option of rook c3, rook a3, and now we will find out if Hikaru agrees with you on the relative strength of d8 and c8 squares for the rook, because I expect the rook will go somewhere here. I don't think a waiting move here makes much sense. So we'll see which one he prefers. I think c8 is probably better. I think I agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's assume rook c8 just for argument's sake. Peter, what would you do with white? Would you feel, number one, do you feel White's better at all, or what's your feeling? What's going on?
I think black probably is fine because it's just difficult to stop rook d2 comfortably. We can play rook c1, and black does have to secure his back rank here. And by the way, he played rook d8. I don't know why.
Your instinct turned out to be correct. By the way, I've just been told that unfortunately Ding Liren, who is playing from China, has lost connection. Ooh,
he has returned since, but
okay.
yeah, his connection appears to be once again a source of worry. We'll be monitoring that situation, hoping that nothing really happens. Rook a1 is a move I completely missed. This is very clever by Ding, and he will now potentially have time to go rook a8, trade one pair of rooks, and then come back to a3.
So, for example, king f8, right?
Yeah, king f8. I still want to play rook a8.
And we munch, and king e7.
Munch, king e7. I go back to a3.
And
but I suspect something like rook d5, rook d2 still equalizes somehow. You also have the option of having the king on c7, but I don't think it's great because that, if in this position you ask white to trade on your terms and play king e7, we can take. But yeah, I'm just not giving a check here. I think I'm going rook a3 anyway.
Right.
I don't know if having it on d8 or on e7 is better for black. I think it's once again, it will end up depending on precise calculations. It's difficult to judge on general grounds.
I've always been, how do you say, charmed. I think that's a good word. I've always been charmed by a really active king. So in that variation, I was thinking that after your rook a3, we traded rooks. It was a munch. King could zip its way to b4 and maybe tie white down somewhat. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
yeah, but I'm just I don't disagree with you, but Hikaru actually went the third way and just ignored king f8 altogether and kept the king on g7. So Hikaru doesn't really feel like the king needs to go very far. I think he's happy with the king where it is.
So just for our audience, what I was suggesting to Peter, like my approach might have been this exact position, except black has a king on b4.
Well, I mean, the issue with that, Yaz, as you I'm sure well understand, is that it doesn't actually have wings,
and it would be illegal just to put the king on
so it would take black quite some time to get it, even with the help of king f8 and then king e7. It would take him some time, and white probably would be in time to play something like e3, h3, bishop f1, bishop c4, and then your counterplay would. I think they're actually, this might just be a draw now. They're already repeating. Hikaru played rook c5, and after rook a7, he played rook b5, rook a3, rook c5. And Ding doesn't seem very interested in trying not to play rook a7 in that position. So you can play something like, once again, I don't know, h3, rook c1, bishop f1. But my suspicion is Ding doesn't really believe he is better here. And I would tend to agree with it, because after, let's say, e4, e3, you might regret playing for a win.
Exactly. I'd get nervous as white. Well, somebody who will most happily agree with everything we say, Peter, a big shout out. Thank you, Magnus Carlsen, for joining us. Hello.
Hey, but
what's up?
Make your shout out first.
What's up? How are you doing?
No, I'm just joining, so haven't really seen what's happened so far.
Of these two players, one of them is going to be your opponent in the semis, Magnus. Do you have any particular preference as to who you'd like to play?
I'd like to play the person who wins the match. That's my preference.
Deep thoughts, Magnus.
Yes.
Deep thoughts.
That's the sort of expert commentary you pay the big bucks for.
Yeah, we've come to expect.
No grudge opponents, huh?
No, I think either way they're extremely strong and worthy opponents. So I'm fine either way, and just looking forward to an excellent match tonight.
Excellent. Peter, what's happening?
Well, Hikaru, I think if he goes rook b5, because rook a3 is more or less completely forced. Rook b5 is a draw. It's not just a draw for it is a draw, because rook a3 will be a threefold. So I think Hikaru is trying to figure out if he is better after rook c1. It looks a bit strange because black often in those positions will be 2 pawns down, but maybe he can still try something like, I don't know, in some order, e3 and then knight g4.
Magnus, jump in.
Yeah, e3, then f3, right?
Yeah, the problem is f3, cutting off all the ways the knight can land on, let's say, d2, which is the ideal square here. And he ended up playing rook b5, and the game is already over, so we're discussing something that's no longer very relevant. So yeah, I think e3, f3 is a problem. And also knight g4 just doesn't create enough threats because we take, and after e3, once again, f3 solves all of the immediate issues. It looks a bit weird to have this bishop on f1, but black cannot really attack it, and we can start digging out the e3 pawn, perhaps with rook e7.
Well, you can go knight h2 and claim that you have slightly the better side of a draw, but
yeah, that's fair. How do we make a precise draw here with white, by the way? G4
I sort
or
of
something?
thought just g4, king g3, yeah.
Yeah, and then rook e7, I guess. Yeah, yeah, that's going to be a draw. So yeah, Hikaru just decides. I don't have much and also after knight g4, I guess we can go h3 and not even allow any of that. So that's maybe a better option.
Yeah, knight g4 is nonsensical.
And yeah, rook b5, rook a3 is just a threefold on the board, so the game gets terminated server side. But
nice. And Anna, I'm sure a lot of people on our social media have some questions as Magnus has joined us. Anything trending, Anna?
I think the most trending is usual, the bromance between Magnus and Anish. So I'll need to ask for an update from you, Magnus, about yesterday's birthday celebration and your Band of Bliss session. Tell us about your experience playing against Chess24 premium members.
It was fun. Lots of tough games, obviously. But yeah, I think there were some decent ones. Hopefully some instructional value as well as a bit of flagging. So I think it was a good session.
Anybody hold you to a draw, Magnus?
Well, yeah, the last game I flagged my opponent with the king against queen, so that was a draw. I definitely should have lost that one, but there were also other games that were very, very close.
Aha, flagger.
Is that the first game you ever not won during a banter session, or?
No. I think I've lost plenty. Not plenty, but a few.
I think at some point you were on some kind of a monstrous dry score against the server. I think maybe first 5 sessions or something. It was scary to look at.
Yeah. But yeah, now it's getting more difficult. So
yeah,
when
clearly,
I needed a little break. I mean, I feel like I've been there for too long. So when does the next game start?
In 7 minutes.
Okay, I'll be back for that then.
All right, Magnus. Thank you very much. We appreciate your being here. And everybody, as we are going to just take, I believe, a short break to get in some commercial messages, and we'll be right back and catch on the other side of this break.
Hello, this is Christoph Zilecki, and welcome to my Keep It Simple 1D4 course. Hello, this is Christoph Zilecki, and welcome to my Keep It Simple 1E4 course.
If you're a chess player, you have plenty of opportunities to challenge and play online against the top players participating in the Chessable Masters Super Tournament. Don't miss the opportunity to learn from the best. Check out the Chess24 shows area and tune in for banter blitzes with the likes of Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano Caruana, Alexander Krischuk, and Pentala Harikrishna. Go premium at Chess24 to challenge them and gain full access to the world's most entertaining chess platform.
There are more moves in chess than atoms in the universe. But only one move ends the game.
My name is John Bartholomew, and this is the Checkmate Patterns Manual.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Chessable Masters. We're in the quarterfinals, day 3 of the match between Hikaru Nakamura and Dane Laren. The first game is drawn. We're going to be playing 4 rapid games, or the first player to score 2.5 or 3 points will decide the match. But Anna, we're very delighted to have a special guest with us, Christoph. Anna, please make the introductions for our audience.
Indeed, we are thrilled to be joined by International Master Christoph Zielecki, who is one of the most successful authors on Chessable. He was our guest earlier during the Chessable Masters, and now he joins us to talk about another course of his, Keep It Simple with 1d4. Welcome to the show, Christoph.
Yeah, hello, Anna. Greetings also to Peter and Yasser. Happy to be back. And I was quite surprised that when I was just about to join the call that Magnus was coming on. It was like, oh, what's going on here? Yeah, that was quite surprising. So,
well, Christoph, we wanted to make sure you were in good company. That was what that was all about. So,
yeah.
Again, welcome. And please tell us a little bit about your course 1d4. Keep it simple.
Yeah, that's already a typical Hollywood story. Yeah, the first book was kind of successful, so they wanted a second one with almost the same name. Yeah, it's all sequels nowadays. And I've written Keep It Simple E4 in 2018, and 2019 it was the D4 version. And in fact, the first game today, we had a Catalan opening, and the Catalan is one of the openings that I have in the book. So what I'm doing there is a D4 repertoire for white, a full one. You can basically look up any possible black response, and I'm trying to suggest something reasonable against everything. It's mostly based on G3 system. So it has the Catalan, a G3 system against the King's Indian, things like that. So it's, I think, a very reasonable way to start 1d4, and it's all in one book. So it's not like a huge volume. And on Chessable, it is also a video course, so you can also just watch the videos and learn everything. So
great. Well, and it turns out it's like 1e4, and they're off for this game too. Peter, take it away, please.
They are indeed off, and they are repeating a game they played yesterday, which ended up being a draw in a somewhat dramatic fashion, where with both players seemingly agreed that the game should be drawn because the position is so very equal. Hikaru committed a very large mistake in an equal position, and Ding for one ply was close to, or perhaps just flat out winning. But it did end up being a draw. I think it was game 2 of the day yesterday.
That featured that piece sacrifice, lots of pawns.
Yeah.
And that was with a quick early f2, f4, which is the same position, Peter.
Yeah, but I think Ding played slightly differently in that game. I think I'm trying to figure out how they got to how they got to the position they got. Maybe he played
let's
B6. I
see.
think he played B6 there. F4
And I
takes
believe we
and
will
knight
be
F8.
joined by the world champion himself again. Magnus, welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you.
Magnus, they're playing this variation of the anti-Berlin that's become very popular. Your thoughts about this method for white? Is it getting much play?
It seems to me that in general, Ding understands these positions very well. I played sort of a delayed Rui exchange against Ding in Calcutta in Blitz in last year actually. And my thought then was that he would not be too familiar with these structures since he does not play the Berlin. But actually he played an excellent game and won. And it seems that ever since he has been very comfortable in these sorts of positions. I think the way that Ding plays it, he doesn't make any particular attempt at equalizing. He just wants to get a position, and he feels that in general he has good chances. He doesn't really care about whether he's slightly better or slightly worse. I think nobody really understands that, but he seems to play these positions well. And also, yeah, Hikaru goes for it time after time, but it feels like most of the time Ding plays these positions better.
Thank you for that. Peter, jump right in and tell us what we're staring at right now.
Well, we actually had this discussion on air, Yas, last night when, in a similar position, you asked me if c3 followed perhaps by d4 was a good plan. And I was not very impressed then. And I kind of remain not particularly impressed now. But maybe after f6 in particular, it makes slightly more sense to go for it. Hikaru includes a waiting move, queen c2 here, not pushing for d3, d4 straight away, which is a little bit interesting because it allows black, if he wants to play c5, getting... at least sort of making d4 slightly less potent, arguably. But also, I mean, this is more flexible, and after c5, maybe Hikaru wants to switch back to playing f4. So he's keeping both of those options open.
I recall in the game between them yesterday where the move f2, f4 was played, Hikaru then essayed queen d1 to h5, which maybe he regretted and brought his queen back to f3. Why is the queen so good on c2, Peter?
Well, mainly I think it's a decent waiting move more than anything else. You connect your rooks, you are not committing to either d4 or f4 for the time being. So you ask black to play something which works well against both. And I don't know if Magnus will agree with this or not. I was kind of on the fence myself. I was wondering if after d4, Ding's intention was to take and play knight b6, which is sometimes what black does in these types of structures. But specifically here, I was not sure it works out sort of move by move. And one reason why queen c2 might be smart is that one of the decent waiting moves black has here normally is the move b7, b6, to which we can now reply d4 and say we have not allowed this knight b6 idea at all. So the knight is still stuck on d7 in the way of black's pieces. But I think that probably is a little bit too deep, honestly. I don't really believe what I'm saying myself.
But I think another thing that needs to be mentioned is if white goes f4 immediately, then ef4, bishop f4, knight c5 is an issue. And obviously with the queen on c2, you could go d4 here and not to lose e4. So I think, yeah, queen c2, as you said, is a good waiting move for a variety of reasons, really. What I would consider here, though, for black is to go knight to c5. And then if d4, I would just take it. If c/d, bring the knight around to b4.
Yeah, that does work out.
Does actually feel pretty okay for black, unless knight a5 somehow works tactically.
I don't think with knight b7 or something, but it shouldn't work.
Yeah,
right?
but it shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't believe this ever works out for
No,
white.
no.
Something like d5, cd, knight b7 with the intention of playing knight c5, but it's just
Yeah, but
incredibly
like even d4, you wouldn't be unhappy as black, I think.
Yeah, knight d8, bishop b3. Yeah, that's probably just excellent for black with d takes e3 following on the next move. Ding does play b6, though not committing to anything just yet.
Yeah, but perhaps b6, as you said, is more committal than it looks, since Hikaru's now gone d4, and okay, he goes to b8 with the knights.
Yeah, that's sort of very similar to what Magnus was describing, but about 3 tempi to slower. So
yeah,
white shouldn't be so unhappy about it here.
Doesn't this feel like Fischer random?
No, it's another one of those. Somebody will now tweet this position with the hashtag "stay at home" and will once again garner a lot of likes and retweets.
Yeah,
deservedly.
Well, you said Fischer random. It's more. It looks sort of similar to an actual Fischer game, right? When he used to play the exchange. He had. Did he have this structure against Portish or somebody like that, or was that with Bishop f3? I see that Christoph is nodding his head. So
it could be game, yeah. Could be, right? This is a famous game.
Yeah. There was. I mean, there was this one where he won against Unzika, but that was with that. I think there he just pushed f4, f5. That was with
Unzika was the Capablanca plan, yeah, I think.
Yeah, the Capablanca plan. So that was not with CD. I think against Portish it was CD, but I don't fully remember.
Well, just as you prescribed, Magnus, Ding Liren, obviously with the move knight d7 to b8, was rerouting his knight to b4. Once the knight gets on b4, Peter, though, just kind of feels like black's position is like super solid. Bishop e6.
I like it for black. Bishop b7, bishop b6, bishop f7, queen d7, rook a d8. I think it will be very, very difficult for white to get anything going, because you constantly have to watch out for your center. Even f6, f5 plans.
White should really bring the knight to g3 here. I think just to cover the f5 square, and then it's sort of hard to find a plan for sure. But I think that's a good way to start. But in general I would agree that black has decent play here.
Well, that's actually a good question, Magnus. I mean, here you imagine you're sitting on the white side of this position, and you're an extremely active player. You're looking for an active plan. You mentioned knight g3. What would be your follow-up once you achieve that, though?
I don't know, but first of all, I would like not to get hit by f5 anytime soon and just have the center collapse.
I see.
And also the knight on d2 very much was a superfluous knight.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, Hikaru started with b3, and now after queen d7, he will have to at least consider f6, f5. I guess he can still go knight f1, because f5, knight e5 is currently not that great. Appears.
Yeah, so he's just gone f3. Or you can imagine he wants instead bishop f2, knight e3, and then knight c4.
Yeah, that could be another way to reposition your pieces, but
d4 could be hanging though.
Yeah, that's and then goes queen f7. Perhaps is f5 a threat now? Probably still not a threat, right?
Is he intimating b5 as a potential threat?
That could be interesting, in particular the way the pieces are positioned right now, because the knight will have to go to some.
No, but bishop f2, I think.
Yeah, bishop f2 should be. But what do we think about b5 anyway? Is it?
I think white would be pretty happy to see it. To be fair, knight e3.
Yeah, I mean, only if it somehow works directly.
Yeah, but
right?
now knight d to c4.
But yeah, there are no jumps that I particularly love here for black. So
I mean, knight d5, ed5, I think.
e5 just wins, yeah, with the
Yeah.
d6 and then ef is a threat. But even if I didn't have that, I think something like queen c2 or queen d3 would be perfectly fine either.
Well, queens, yeah, probably both are fine. Yeah.
Yeah, because a5 is always hanging, and bishop f2, of course, played by Hikaru, because we assume that always has been part of the plan here.
Okay. Yeah, this was actually probably more fluid than the plan that I suggested, but I still feel like black should put one of the rooks on d8 now, just to counter the plan with knight e3.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps actually the e rook, yeah, because
yeah, you wanna keep b5 as an option.
As an option, yeah. And after rook e8, it's actually not that easy to make a move for white suddenly, and that's what he played actually.
Rook e8, yeah.
Do we have any?
I want to mention something. Every day we want like an instructive moment of the day, the learning moment of the day, and I'm happy to announce that we have one, and that is knight b8 in this game. Knight b8. It's a really cool idea that it would not come naturally to, I think, many players, because the knight is already out on d7. But if you look closely, it doesn't do anything. And then you spot the b4 square and say, okay, it takes a while, but once it's there, it's great. So this is a really cool moment in this game.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with like this idea of Carrez. Carrez had this kind of structure with a pawn on e5, and then he played c6, c5. And then he went knight on d7 to b8 to c6, because the knight on c6 was just a lot more active than the knight on d7. This knight b8 maneuver feels like from the Slav defense, where you get this knight on.
I'm really becoming very interested by b5 here.
Yeah, I think we need to go back to knight b8 for a second. Because it all looks very good. But let's say white goes f4 here.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, but I don't know how to support it.
So
just f5 or?
Yeah, just f5.
Just to freeze it on c8, yeah?
Yeah.
And maybe we even have queen b3 now, because
even
the bishop
queen
is
b3. Like everything black has done sort of looks pretty, but maybe here with the pawn on f5.
We can maybe even go e5, e6, honestly.
Yeah.
I really don't like giving up the d5 square for the black pieces,
me neither, but
it's going to be on e6 though, which is not nothing.
But also rook f3 to h3.
Yep, I like that. Rook f4 to h4. I like that. I like that rover.
It could be that Hikaru just really should have spent a bit more time there.
Yeah, I think when I saw him sort of more or less instantly play rook ac1 and rook fg1, I thought, this is not how you refute knight b8. It might be okay, but when black is playing so slowly, it's maybe worth dedicating some time on trying to just
maybe f4
f5 though.
Take it.
Oh yeah, just and then I go for some kind of positional.
Yeah, I guess, but this is something else. Like here, it feels like white has definite potential. Knight e5 maybe.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing, but it's maybe it's interesting and maybe it's worth considering for black. But yeah, this is a very messy position where I'm not certain I'm winning the pawn on the 5 back, because we are quite happily playing g4 next move.
Well, there's bishop a6 followed by bishop d3.
Yeah, I blundered that. Yeah, I will I will happily admit I blundered that.
Yeah, but
that's a nice one. That's getting the queen trapped in the middle of the board. I like this active idea very much, Magnus.
Let's go back to the game.
I think that's really nice. But the current position, if you will, please, Peter.
Yeah, and this is the explanation for the move rook c3. Hikaru realized b5 is probably coming, so he has overprotected the pawn on b3 to be able to just drop back to b2 and not allow the opening of the b file with ba. Because that would actually be quite awkward here for white, I'm pretty sure. And now black needs to be quite quick.
Exactly. The move b6, b5 was quite committal. It, in many ways, kind of ruined black's structure. doesn't he need a powerful follow-up like f5, Peter? I mean,
that's what I'm looking at. I just don't know what it does necessarily. Like it's a nice move on general grounds, but I'm not sure if fe4 is even a threat. So
right.
White can proceed with whatever he was planning. First of all, and also there is this, right, which maybe we need to be slightly worried about. Gaining space. Let's say bishop goes back to c8, we go knight d3, and we claim that this pawn chain is now not that easy to challenge.
Right.
Well, you got to consider a b5 fe as well.
That is true, yeah. A b fe, but I think and then you'll have the g4 square, right?
Yeah, that was the point.
But even there, let's say
even
d4,
there,
bishop
yeah,
g4,
just
I
go
go
rook
f1.
f1.
And it looks to me like we made some progress with white. At least the bishop on f2 is now breathing. And if we get, I don't know, knight d3 and then trade, the queen comes in, and it's a very playable position for white.
And Dame's played an interesting move, which is rook b8. I guess he still wants to go cb after.
Yeah, that's the question. Like, is he inviting AB and then saying, haha, fooled you and taking with the pawn, or is he actually completely ruining his structure with rook b5? That looks
but
not
here,
that great.
I mean, knight a4 or something comes, right? Or
yeah, knight a4, even knight d3 steal might be a playable move as well. I don't know. I just don't even like h2, h3 here. And what is black aiming towards? And then eventually I will start coming out of the corner. I don't know if I need h3, but just to.
Chime in, if you will, Magnus. It seems to me like today's modern players do not make moves like b6, b5 easily, committing themselves. They're all about keeping their options open and prophylactically playing. b6, b5, to my thinking, is a real committal move. Is it the type of move that you would have done yourself as black?
Well, not when my opponent plays rook c3, specifically preparing for that move.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would be very, very wary of doing that. I feel like, I don't know. I'm not convinced about the players' time expenditure in this game. It feels like they're playing a bit too fast, to be honest. Because positionally speaking, there are many decisions that they've made that haven't been obvious at all, and they haven't spent so much time on it. So
he has taken with the rook, very interesting. And yeah, I wanted to agree with that. It's very, very unusual to see a complicated position like this with many decisions which needed attention, and both of them having like 10 and 9 minutes on the clock right now.
Yeah. Like I can tell you, if I'd been playing with either color here, I would be at 5 minutes for sure. Because I mean, the positions are so rich and interesting. So many pawn breaks and so much tension that you want to make the right decisions, right? Right. It's not really a position you can play entirely on feel.
Okay, Peter, AB rook b5, your knee-jerk assessment. Do you prefer white? You prefer black? If so, why?
Well, structurally, white is clearly doing much better, but his pieces are still somewhat bunched up, and you need to settle on a plan. But I think the last, let's say, 3 moves have made me start liking white a lot more. I don't know if I believe white is already better or something like that, but I thought after rook e8 it was black who was pushing for advantage, and I'm much less sure about that now. I think probably black needs to worry about equalizing, if anything.
Well, Magnus a moment ago, he thought that the knight on b2 was maybe white's worst piece, and he started with the move knight a4. Do you agree with Magnus?
I would, but Hikaru has already played knight c4, and this is particularly surprising because that appears to allow a4.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you do about a4?
Yeah, ba knight d5 just wins an exchange. Does it? Yeah, d1 is hanging, so your tactic doesn't work anymore because rook takes d1 is a check. So a 4b8, knight d5, a takes b5, knight takes e3 is just flat out winning for black. If you play something like queen c2, you probably still lost, right, after rook b4.
Okay, so he's gone a4.
Yeah, and Hikaru is, judging by what I'm seeing on my screen, not entirely happy, and understandably so, because you should not have been allowing. I think allowing a4 is just a mistake, even if he ends up somehow stabilizing here and not.
Yeah,
losing
and
any
also
material.
the move knight to c4 is far from obvious. I mean, both d3 and a4 are also decent squares for that knight, and you could very much argue that the move you mentioned earlier on, h3, would be more useful.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think maybe he wanted to go knight c4 just to put it there and maybe play queen a1 next or something like that. But yeah, it's very unclear to me why he even felt it was the best square for the knight. And honestly, also judging by the facial reactions there, he may have missed something about a4. And now I'm back to liking black quite a bit because, well, you are not guaranteed, I think, to keep everything intact after. Rook dc1 I like, though, with the intention of going a b, rook takes b3. And
but this is still awkward.
Of course, yeah, but I don't quite see how it gets taken apart. And maybe if you give
no, sure.
Yeah, rook db8, I guess, and just continue putting pressure, because it's really not that easy to make moves with white.
No.
But maybe I can go like rook b3, b2.
I like that move, rook d8, b8, but I really like a5, a4 for black. I see the a pawn as being more of a weakness, and the b3 pawn is actually a great pawn. And to just allow the move a5, a4, to my mind, I think that was just a flat out oversight.
Does look like that. I don't think if you spot a4 is possible. I don't think you ever allow it.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. The pawn on b3 is integral to everything white wants to do positionally. So removing that is an excellent achievement for black, and the black knight on b4 is well supported even without the pawn. So this is definitely a good trade for black, and now there is no way black is worse, I would say.
Yeah, I suspect black should be better. It's just not easy to exploit. But if we continue looking at that line, for instance, and it's just going to be difficult for white to get out of the corner. Maybe you can play queen a1. If you can play queen a1, maybe it's not that bad, because then I can maybe play rook bc3 next move and start, carefully bringing the pieces back towards decent squares. But there's all kinds of jumps here you need to evaluate.
I'm having a funny thought, gentlemen. How about rook d8, a8? We take on b3, rook takes b3, and we go rook a8, and we just say, you mentioned, Peter, that the queen's kind of caught on the queen side, and it's going to have a very difficult time just untangling.
I think maybe I like this better than rook db8, actually, stopping queen a1, because it feels like maybe the only move I would play in the blitz game here with white is rook b3, b2. But then what am I playing next move? Where are these pieces going?
Rook c3, queen f1.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe we do get out somehow, because black does experience here a problem of lacking an easy way to increase the pressure. I don't think
you can go knight a2, but I think that's just nothing. Rook
c3. We probably just go back. Yeah. Think we go back.
Yeah. Oh, rook b2 now. Queen b2, knight b4.
We have to go rook c3.
Yeah.
Okay. It's very touch and go, but it does appear to hold for white. Black does have a draw on the spot with knight a2, rook c2, knight b4 here, by the way. So
the more I'm thinking about it, any arguments to be made for the immediate rook a8?
That's what he played, actually. Very nicely spotted by Yaz, yeah.
Well, that was a lucky guess, actually. Wait a minute, just a second. I mean, I was just going to like, because you were mentioning Magnus, rook c1 to c3, queen f1, I'm thinking, am I helping by taking on b3? Not sure. And here, at least, I was thinking, if you do take on a4 and rook takes a4, there's a knight a2 issue that you might not be And I mean, it might hurt your feelings, a move like knight a2.
Yeah, I thought queen b3, but the problem is knight a2 will still be a huge threat after something like rook a4, a8, and I suspect
it might just be game over, actually.
Yeah, here it's over. I think I don't think it's stoppable.
Mm.
I think it just lands next move and wins material. So,
Yikes!
Yikes, indeed. Yeah.
I have a question. I'm watching Hikaru on camera, and it's clearly he's worried. Yeah, it's very obvious from his facial expressions. And Magnus, do you actually watch the other guy's camera when you play in such an event?
Oh yeah, most of the time I do, especially if I have a good position. I wanna see them squirm.
I think you can be a little bit more open, right, on camera. It's over the board. It's a little bit more professional and so on. I think in those online events, yeah, there's much more happening, yeah, with the facial expressions.
Yeah, because you're at home, and even though you know your opponent can see you on camera, you're going to be more open with your emotions, and I think that's one of the good things about this format.
Yeah, it's really there's so many funny clips, yeah, from those tournaments. Yeah, it's really true.
Magnus, who was your worst over the board opponent? Doing somebody like screwing in the pieces, or copying over the board, or banging the clock? Anybody stand out that was unpleasant for you?
No, I never played Gary, so
I played him a lot.
I mean, I could feel that the whole setup was just from years of torture playing Gary for you. So
of course, but in over the how do you say it? Online, you have no such concerns, of course. So
no,
nobody's making you unhappy.
No, it's all good, to be fair.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, so Hikaru has played something very forcing. I'm sorry to drag the discussion away from. He played takes, and then rook a3, something that really needs very precise calculation because it might just lose. But
wow.
so far, I don't see. I was very interested in knight d5.
How about knight a2?
He's played knight a2. Yeah, knight a2 is much stronger, I guess.
Yeah, okay. I didn't see that he'd played it.
No, you said it. You said it a split second before I saw it.
Yeah. Okay. So he's just sacked.
Hang on. Yeah, and yeah, and this is just a full exchange up. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Wait a sec. Knight c3.
Well, that's already all on the board, and rook
yeah,
a1.
I was just. No, okay. I was thinking rook a8, d5, but
rook a8, knight b1, d5 with the intention of bishop c5, but you probably lose too many pieces in the process, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
c5, bishop c5.
Knight d2.
Do you actually? Knight d2, knight d2. Is this better or worse than what he got?
He'll be a pawn down and a minor piece ending, right?
Yeah, but that probably is more lost than the position he got, is it? I don't know. I'm not sure. Like,
probably. But the position he has is really awful.
Yeah, that one you don't expect to hold because eventually something happens in the center and the position gets opened, and your setup collapses. The fact that black has the two bishops here is very relevant, I think.
Absolutely. Rook, bishop. Actually, he doesn't even have a pawn for it. It's just a rook.
No. It's just a rook and knight.
But you really need to get the knight away from c3. Sorry, c4.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get like knight e3, knight f1.
I'm very attached to the idea of playing bishop b4 here, just to make sure they stay there.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he played queen c8, which is also something I was looking at because you cannot take bishop d7, knight b6, queen b7 collects. He allowed it.
Seriously though, I think maybe this might be a good chance. Just go knight b6, take on d7, take on f8, and then yeah, he's done it. I think this is not a bad chance.
Two minor pieces and pawn.
I will say I blundered the existence of knight f1, but I don't believe this holds.
Oh, g4 now?
I don't think this holds.
Magnus, what's happened to you? You're making a suggestion that white can construct a fortress?
Yeah.
This is actually quite striking. Yeah, let's say we go king g2, we go knight g3, and then g4 is very important here because g6 f5 was one of the reasons I didn't believe it would hold eventually. But if it's not, if we stop it altogether,
I think black has to go for g6 h5.
and then
Well, I don't know, because I mean king g, let's imagine black goes h6, right?
Mhm.
And white gets the pawn to h5.
Okay.
I mean, this is not even,
and
there
in
is
particular, in particular, maybe even this setup to make
Yeah.
sure that
this is no discussion. Like, this is a dead draw.
Wow.
I would
yeah,
say.
I think I would agree with that. Yes.
Well, I don't even, yeah, I'm not even sure I want to play d5, just not to give black the e5 square for the king. I just want to go knight g3, king g2, and wait forever. So he's gone g6, which is obviously more sensible, but
Yeah,
I
allowing
think-
that setup is very wrong. But now we go king g2, I guess h5, h3 maybe. Or there's
mean, I
also
think
there's also this option, which is
as you said. I mean, bishop at b4 was just way better, at least practically speaking.
Oh, I love that move. I love keeping the knights together, forcing the knights together.
Yeah,
That's why I wasn't crazy about the rook a6 move to begin with.
Because of bishop b4 up.
there was a 65 threat, so I think
No,
unfortunately
but you got to go rook a1. That's the thing. Rook
Ah.
a1, bishop b4, rook c1.
and we start running towards.
We start running,
support.
and this should be decent chances to hold. I mean, black can go queen f7, but then you're sort of tying up your own pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got rook c2, knight
Rook
e3.
c2 and knight e3. Yeah. This is a setup you want to have everybody towards the king side and not on the unsupported squares. Yeah, but I think Ding maybe just really discounted rook takes c6 as a move. He was probably pretty sure he will get the same position, but
well, that
yeah.
by the way, a fabulous learning moment.
Hang on a second. Wasn't it? I think queen c1 check may have been a mistake. I think we take here, and we go queen c3, and we try to stop g4 from happening, right?
Yeah. Yeah, queen c1 was probably...
Queen c1 is a bad mistake, I feel, because you just give white like a 2 tempi. Knight f1 is going to happen anyway. Why are we driving it there?
Can you stop white from playing g4 though, Peter?
g4 queen c3, I think, wins a pawn here. So yes.
No, that's clear. But knight f1.
Yeah, I want to
play
queen
f1 still queen c3. Exactly.
Yeah, just play queen c3 anyway, and at least make it difficult for
Bishop.
at least make it difficult for your opponent to achieve the setup he so badly wants.
Bishop e3, queen d3, king f2.
Yeah, I can even maybe start with f5 already.
Yeah.
f5, ef, queen d3, and so on. This probably ends up falling apart, but the one they got, I'm less sure. He's gone for f5, not h5, by the way.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so he clearly wants take everything, queen g5, and then
h5.
Then h5.
This looks like trouble for white.
I'm wondering about this. Like, do we ever actually shake any of this off? I put the pawn on f6, and then
no, but queen f4, queen f4, h4,
and h4. Yeah, h4, h3. You do. Yeah, h4, h3 is very. Yeah, you just.
But I mean, bishop g3 is a much better try though than f6. This is still, I would say, not obvious.
Yeah, but we're probably leaning towards this being winning, right? It's somehow.
Yeah, maybe queen g6 is a good move.
Yeah.
Oh, still king h2. If queen f7, there's a check on d6.
Yeah, and then back to g2, I suppose.
I mean, I agree with the leaning towards winning thing, but it's far from obvious.
No, there's a lot of play left here for sure. And Hikaru still has 3 minutes to consider here, which I think is very valuable because you need to settle on a setup here somehow. You need to figure out which one you want. There's also this option, but probably not great, right?
I remember a very
He's actually
difficult,
gone for this. He's opted for this.
I remember a very difficult ending that was won by Jan Timman of queen versus two bishops. He beat the two bishops, but it actually required some real precision. Is bishop and knight versus queen, is that easy?
Well, it should be easier,
Easy.
but easy very much depending on where the pawns are.
Well,
No
there is
pawn, no
there
pawn,
is
no
a
pawn.
fortress. So
Who was that Pologoyevsky game against? That was,
I think Pologaevsky Geller.
yeah, I wanted to say Geller, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it's Geller.
Yeah, that's the famous one, the one that books are written about. But
that's against two bishops. So I guess FE he goes FE, right?
pretty sure he goes FE. Yeah.
But here
then-
there are too many squares, right?
Yeah, I think it kind of it gets in, and then you start running out of things to do.
I mean,
think.
yeah, king to d3, queen to f4, then h5.
Yeah, something like that probably should win eventually.
Here I would really be scared that the knight on g3 is just going to be driven away. You're going to go queen f4, queen g4, h5, h4, and something bad's going to happen. This doesn't even look close.
Maybe we take with the knight actually, and we play something like h3, and we try to keep this formation.
This looks like a better attempt at a fortress. I actually thought taking everything on f5 might have been the best chance, but okay, I think I prefer knight takes e4 to f3 takes e4. I don't think those two pawns are going to stay abreast for a long time. Your take, Magnus. What do you think? I mean, practically speaking.
Also, sorry, is f4 completely unreasonable?
Why would you do that, Peter? Knight f5?
Just to separate the knight from the bishop. And now let's say I play king d2 and then queen e2, and then I claim that my king can just start running towards, I don't know, d3, and white will never reconnect his light pieces. I was kind of looking at that, and I don't particularly like it, but I was wondering if it's as stupid as all that. But it is a bit unnatural, I think, to do it this way. And fe4, knight e4, king f7 on the board.
Okay, so knight e4 was actually Hikaru. I was actually fishing there for you, Magnus, for a moment. Would you have recaptured with the pawn or the knight? Well, Hikaru already.
Yeah, I think in this case, I very much agree that knight gives more chances.
Fair enough. h7, h6 on the board, Peter.
Yeah, and now the king starts its march towards the center and the king side, and I think eventually we will start seeing some kinds of zugzwangs where Hikaru will find it difficult to make a move.
Well,
I think you want to force h5 at some point, and then maybe bring the king all the way back, because there are no entry squares here.
Right.
Not yet. Yeah, not yet.
So imagine, if you will, break it down for us, Peter. The black king is going to come to d3. Yay. The white knight is going to be sitting on e4 or g3, just oscillating back and forth. How do you break it down? How do you break it down?
The big question is, can we even force h5? Can white just play knight e4 here?
That was my question.
I was thinking like going like c6 in such a position, but bishop g3 is a move, which I missed. Because otherwise, h5 is the only move that doesn't lose on the spot.
Which I'm trying to resist playing, right?
Yeah, you want to resist playing because basically white has a fortress at the moment. Without the pawn moving to h5, it's a fortress.
Right. Exactly.
Which also raises the question whether black should go h5, actually.
Breaking news.
Okay, so he's just gone h5.
The one move I thought we were trying to avoid.
So he is now going to be playing bishop f2, bishop g1 forever, and hoping this setup holds.
But now the king has got to go to g5 as black. That's the only.
So queen g5, and now we reroute the king towards the g5 square eventually, yeah, and then we set up something.
Yeah, the way queen I mean, king d3 just gives absolutely nothing.
So let's well, yeah, I can even do that, I guess. I don't know,
Queen
queen
d5.
Yeah, let's see we got here, and white did not have bishop b3 check for some reason. How do we win this position? King h4, yeah, queen a2 and then king h4, yeah?
Yeah, it looks pretty clean.
So let's say king here already it's difficult to make a move. You go here, 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 and then black plays something like queen c2, and you are either allowing king h3, which wins, or you're dropping the h5 pawn, and then obviously everything will start falling off. Yeah, does feel like it should be clean enough. Is there a way not to allow king g5? Let's say I go knight e4 here and I start playing bishop f2, bishop g1, bishop f2.
Oh, that is dirty.
No, there has to be a way to get it to g5, right? There's no way this can work. Like I play queen b5, knight g3, king f6. And he's also just allowed it, so I think maybe Hikaru didn't believe it was possible, but I think this probably ends up being unstoppable.
But what's his idea here? King f5? I don't get it.
I don't know. I think maybe he thinks this is holding, but I don't think it is. I think once the king lands on h4, the game kind of effectively ends.
Knight f1. Something about knight f1 I find too compliant.
Yeah, that was a strange decision.
Yeah, also h5. Like I get that you wanna simplify your decisions later on, but
yeah, I'm not sure what's going on because he is now just giving up the pawn on h5 with like no fight, and that's never going to hold. Like we know that's never going to hold.
No.
That is strange. That is strange.
To be expected here.
Yeah. Maybe he just didn't believe it was holding in general, but still, it feels like from move 48 to move 54, we just went from a position where there was a discussion to be had to a position where there's really not much to talk about anymore.
Magnus, as we started today's broadcast, we had to remark on the amazing comeback of Hikaru yesterday. He won with black on demand. He won with white on demand. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was an awesome comeback, and he will have to do something along the same lines. I'm really gonna be interested to see what kind of opening he chooses with white in the fourth game, if it gets to that. Because he hasn't really gotten much at all in these Berlin bishop c6 lines, and he's actually been
is this
worse
a chance at all
most of the
because
games.
of where the pieces are? I guess not. Yeah, there's no way this can work, right?
King h.
Okay, yeah, it's an interesting try.
I think it's the only try, but like the problem is white is not actually threatening to take on h6, so there has to be a way to like make a clever pass here, which suddenly threatens king g6. I don't know, queen d1
Queen
or something.
c3?
Or queen c3 or some move like that, and yeah, maybe I go king f2, and I want to take with the knight now. But that probably loses to king h4, and then queen c2 check, and the king comes in. Yeah, that's never going to hold. That's never going to hold.
So king g5, knight g4 on the board, right?
Yeah.
Anna, I want to get you in on the discussion a little bit. How is our social media all doing? Are they enjoying our broadcasts and enjoying Magnus on stream?
Absolutely. It's always a thrill to have Magnus on the broadcast, and everybody is just happy to have your insights, Magnus. They have tons of questions for you. I don't think I can ask all of them, but a couple of the questions included your laptop and mouse. A lot of people are wondering for these online events, did you choose a different mouse to play with? Do you have any tips on what laptop or computer to use? Can you tell us about your equipment for these online events?
I'm not an expert.
I think some of the viewers were just referring to one of the Lichess titled arena that you played, and you weren't very happy with your mouse. They are wondering if you have replaced it since.
I think you generally use a different mouse speed for rapid and blitz bullet, but I think for this format, frankly, like anything goes, since speed is not really a factor unless you get to the Armageddon. Then you should probably change your settings. And he's gone exactly for Queen C3. By the way.
Yeah, that's a seemingly a nice clean move. And now King F2. Yeah, King F2. I expect King F2, King H4, and some kind of a swift conclusion to all this, because there's just no stopping the things
Magnus,
that will.
Are you in the Microsoft family of computers, or are you an Apple computer user?
Well, I've always just thought that ChessBase runs a lot better on, and basically all kinds of chess software runs better on PC. So,
and by a lot better, you mean it runs?
Well, I mean, you can run programs that allow you to run.
Yeah, but like once we get into the emulators, you know, it's always
trying to be more diplomatic than was needed. Sure.
Nicely done. Now, after this move, queen takes d4, black just has a passed pawn. I think this is simply easy suddenly.
Yeah, f3 is also falling. Yeah, the game is effectively over and will be over in a moment, because the f3 pawn is not going to survive the next couple of moves.
Exactly. Hikaru shaking his head. Magnus, I mean, you played Hikaru so many times over the board. The head shaking ever affect you? Did you ever wrongly get the wrong signal from Hikaru?
No, it doesn't really affect me much.
But you like it when he's squirmy?
Sure. Okay, can we just go back? So the game is over, queen f3. That's done. Let's just go back for one moment. I want to see the moment when he played f5, takes. And after knight g3, h5. Oh,
you mean takes
queen g5, knight g3, h5.
Right.
To play f4 here.
Okay, so we need to have a talk about this, right?
Presumably the idea is knight h5.
Yeah, knight h5.
I can include queen e4 check, but you actually aren't dropping any pieces of the king.
I'm not losing the knights.
Yeah, and now eventually I will.
I sort of assume that
maybe
he's winning.
Yeah, but maybe this is very important actually, that I get to f3.
Yeah,
and then like you have to assume that eventually the squares run out, right? The king just starts running towards h3, and the squares should run out.
Yeah, this is probably just a straightforward
win. Wow. I was about to suggest h2, h3, but no, the king.
No, that.
Yeah.
But
I think at some point it will become a zugzwang of some sort, and yeah, you end up losing here.
I'm not so sure, guys. This is not this
okay,
is
and then
right. No, don't play h3. I apologize. Put the knight on f1, the bishop on g3, and the bishop on e5. Aren't I happy?
No, but you probably lose the pawn, queen g4.
Yeah, that. But also, let's say I allow that.
Okay,
let's say you go
c6.
c6. Yeah, and then I start kind of inexorably march towards the
there are too many squares.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this
Good
holds.
point, Peter.
I don't think this holds.
Also, the bishop is not solid on e5 at all. c5 cannot.
That as well, yeah.
Well, very nice win for Ding Liren to set the table. Again, we're in the third day of this quarterfinal. Ding Liren has just scored a victory, giving him a 1.5 half-point lead. He needs 2.5 points to secure his passage to the semifinals and a date with Magnus Carlsen. I should have used the word appointment. An appointment with Magnus Carlsen. That's the winner's prize.
A working lunch.
A working lunch. From Hikaru's point of view, he's got to make a comeback. He'll have 2 games to do it. Should Dingleren win this game, Anna, that would be a short day for us.
That would be, but I think, yes, sir, we are here for the long broadcast and more action. Obviously, all the viewers on Twitch, on YouTube, and Chess24 are rooting for an exciting day and lots of action. And that could mean if Hikaru makes a comeback, he has 2 more games to tie the score to then lead to 2 blitz games. I think that's what most of the people are wishing for, just more chess action on the board in general. Thanks to everybody tuning in, by the way. Thousands of people watching on YouTube, over 10,000 watching on Twitch. Thanks for being here. And obviously thanks to the world champion Magnus Carlsen for joining us. I think if Magnus, you would like to stay for the rest of the games, we are very happy to have you. And Christoph, thank you for being here as well.
Magnus has flown away, but he promised he will return, as the quote goes.
But Christoph is still with us.
Yeah, I have a question. Do we make a bet there that the Dutch defense will appear again on the board?
Ooh.
I think it's increasingly likely. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. D4 is not met by knight f6 if d4 happens. Jing has played non-d4 openings, but if he does go 1d4, which I think is very likely, I think Hikaru continues with the Dutch because he got playable positions. I think every single time he tried this in this tournament. He hasn't always won them, but he got playable fighting positions, I think, pretty much every single time.
Yeah, when I was dressing for this broadcast, I was thinking to wear bright orange, for yesterday, Giri's birthday, and Hikaru winning with the Dutch defense. So it felt very appropriate, but it was too bright. Felt it was too irritating on camera. But
the House of Orange would appreciate that, Christoph. I just wanted to say thank you again for joining us. 1D4, keep it simple. 40% discount. Thank you so much for joining us, Christoph. It's a pleasure as always to have you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Absolutely. And we're just going to take a very short commercial break. We'll see you on the other side.
Hello, this is Christoph Zielecki, and welcome to my Keep It Simple 1D4 course. Hello, this is Christoph Zielecki, and welcome to my Keep It Simple 1E4 course.
If you're a chess player, you have plenty of opportunities to challenge and play online against the top players participating in the Chessable Masters Super Tournament. Don't miss the opportunity to learn from the best. Check out the Chess24 shows area and tune in for banter blitzes with the likes of Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano Caruana, Alexander Krischuk, and Pentala Harikrishna. Go premium at Chess24 to challenge them and gain full access to the world's most entertaining chess platform.
There are more moves in chess than atoms in the universe. But only one move ends the game.
My name is John Bartholomew, and this is the Checkmate Patterns Manual.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our live coverage of the Chessable Masters. We just saw an incredibly complex and very intriguing game. And Magnus, you just mentioned that during the break, you checked with the engine about the move f4. What was your discovery?
No, there were. I thought there were some interesting things. First of all, after rook c1, computer just seems to think black is better, and that surprisingly we actually got a lot of these positional things right. That the whole that black was better here after knight a6, knight b4, and that he misplayed it a bit later, but that knight bc4 was a serious mistake that gave black the initiative again. What I found interesting, though, is that we were discussing f4 here, and black should go knight a6 and so on, f5. There are some interesting lines like c5, d5, knight b4, queen b3. Or there was maybe king h8 first, actually, and then there were some c6 ideas for black there as well. But it was just complicated, but probably better for white. What was interesting is that we thought f5 was probably a decent response here, and the computer just says knight e5, white is completely winning, at least at low depth, which I thought was pretty fascinating.
Wow.
Oh, just the king side just gets completely destroyed, yeah.
Yeah, fe4, f5.
f5 is even stronger, yeah.
f5, and I mean, when you look at it, it sort of makes sense, but
yeah,
this is not even interesting. This is just winning for white.
Wow.
Fair
Cool. Sorry, but we are in game 3. Let's jump, and it looks like a King's Indian. Peter, take it away.
Well, I would like to pass it on to somebody, anybody. I have 0 games on castles knight c6 in my entire life. I used to play knight bd7, but nobody who has any sense does that. So the bayonet. Have you played the bayonet with any color, Magnus?
Yeah, a little bit. I haven't had much success against it as black, to be fair. I tried a5 once against Kramnik, and I was just lost and miraculously saved the game. Then I had a few games with white with more success. Obviously, 98 is a specialty of Hikaru. I think he's beaten Vichy with this. Maybe Vichy's game was 992. That could be, actually. But yeah, basically honestly, the themes are the same. You just go 98. You you expand on the king side. You don't care about the queen side at all, and you try to deliver mates.
Yeah, but specifically against the bayonet, I'm not sure I've seen this very much because you are conceding so much ground on the queen side that it feels like you're just never going to be fast enough. But
no, but I've definitely seen Hikaru played against the bayonet as well.
Yeah, that's why I was asking for help, because I really don't know anything about this topic.
Yeah, I think he's even gone like H6, maybe before playing F5 once.
And you were right about the game against Vishy. That's almost 10 years ago in
London.
London, yeah, the famous game. Yeah.
I feel like he's won some. He beat Gelfand once, I think. World Teams 2010.
He also had a spectacular win as black against Wesley So.
Oh yeah, but that was
a different line altogether. Yeah,
that was 91.
Yeah.
So a couple of games against Veselin in 2017, a game against Chukin in 2009, and that game against Vishy, and also one game against Gata. And I would like, so far I see 5 on my screen. I would like for our esteemed panel to guess how many points Hikaru scored out of those 5.
I'm gonna guess 4.
4.5.
4.5. Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna go for 4.5. What was the winning guess, Peter?
Yeah,
sorry for my lag. Sorry for my lag, everybody.
It's actually quite stunning to me because I think by rights this should be quite a good King's Indian for white, but Hikaru just understands the King's Indian. It's such a, I think, a regrettable thing for the chess world in general that he switched to the Queen's Gambit declined.
Yeah.
Apart from his opponents, who are probably enjoying the switch, but.
By the way, help me out here. For all of those people in our audience who are playing the King's Indian defense and enjoy positions like this in their league games and their club games, why is this a good King's Indian defense for white? Isn't black, you pushed your B pawn and your A pawn. Congratulations. Isn't black got the, so to speak, ideal King's Indian attack going here, guys? What's wrong with black's position, Peter?
Well, I think, once again, my understanding is, I wanted to say rudimentary. It's not even that it's rudimentary. I think it's just wrong, which is a bigger problem than it being.
We have an operator standing by. It's a 1-900 call. It's like but we have professionals. We can help.
I think white made kind of good strides on the queen side, and he also maintains this idea of going 95, 96, which is something, if you compare this, let's say, with the normal 92, 98 lines, which used to existed for the eternity, and then there's the race going on, or 91, 97, perhaps, which are kind of closer in spirit, 93, F5, F3, F4, and so on.
Right.
Here, the knight has already migrated away from F3. And, the battlegrounds are a lot more defined. Black has this, typical play on the queen side, whereas white will start something on the other side of the board. Whereas in the position we have here, I think white is, he's gotten somewhere on the queen side, and he hasn't actually conceded the king side yet.
Okay, well, let me bite and just say, okay, I'm playing knight takes e4, Peter. You will take...
Takes knight g5, yeah.
Knight, like I seen a game of Bobby Fischer from the 60 memorable games where he went knight f5, knight d4, and
I think these days this is supposed to be just bad, right? Because white goes like bishop f1, rook a3, bishop b2, eventually takes out this knight, and the bishop on g7 never really becomes a real boy. This I quite strongly would suggest for black not to do. I think bad. This is just, I think this is not good.
Okay.
I would like for Magnus to chime in here, because I might be wrong, but
yeah, I was just going to say that you asked me about my experience in these kinds of position, and I suddenly really remembered, I think it was before the match against match against Kramnik. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm revealing too much here. But I think at this point this is part of chess history. So Vichy was preparing d4, and I was basically there as just to play training games, which was extremely unpleasant in a sense because I was told just to try everything against d4, and he had prep everywhere, obviously. And so one of the things was I was told to play the King's Indian and just try to mate him. So I do have some experience there, and I as far as I can remember, like the first 2 or 3 games against Vichy, I just mated him on the king side, and then after that, I lost every game basically, and I so my appetite for these particular positions waned a bit. I find it interesting though the approach that Ding has gone for here with Rook E1 and.
Yeah, that wasn't very obvious. And actually, I'm quite surprised by Rook A2. I was pretty sure Rook A3 was coming. Aren't you always putting it on A3 in this position?
Yeah, it just looks better. Protect C3. The third rank is very much relevant.
Mm-hmm. I was just expecting the Rook to land on A3, and then he chose this square, which is I guess
he's
he wants
protecting
to
F2, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's paying attention to the F2 square, but I don't know how Black would even mount any kind of an offense against the F2 pawn here.
Magnus, I just have to
Knight
ask.
G4.
Yeah. No.
Sorry to chime in. I just wanted to follow up, Magnus. So in those training games you played, were they blitz? What was the time control that you were playing the training game?
Yeah, generally blitz.
Okay. So take it away. G6, G5, gentlemen.
Bishop D3, I assume, but I guess Black just goes Queen D7 and then Knight G6. This is a very playable position.
Yeah, this is looking a little bit like those Rui Lopez's that I've played a bit exactly, and like Yusupov used to play this as Black. I can remember a few games. Like you exchange these bishops, but you have so many. You have so much space on the king side that you feel like you're sort of okay. I would be tempted to go H4 here as white. Like I did something similar against Hikaru in the previous tournament, and no. I mean without Bishop D3.
Just straight away. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
I'm not sure it's great though. Also, yeah, G4 was not forced. E4 was also an option.
Yeah, E4. Yeah, I can't count. Doesn't work, right? HG.
No,
and doesn't work. Knight D4.
Knight D4, GH, and who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
It's the kind of position you want in a semi-must-win game. So
yeah, I think Black is extremely happy for that specific reason. Yeah, you don't actually care about the quote-unquote evaluation of this. And once again, I would very much like to have the Rook on A3 here.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. A line like Knight
takes Bishop G4. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, like you really want the Knight on C3 here to not be hanging.
This might still be good for white, by the way. Knight G4, Bishop G4, H5, Queen G6.
Queen G6, and we're keeping the pin on,
Yeah.
But with the Rook on A3, this would have been just like, if you imagine this position with the Rook on A3, Black probably is just helpless. Everything collapses.
By the way, Magnus, I don't know if you've seen this yourself, but seeing a lot of games, especially I guess from the Italian, where Black plays H6, G5, and a move like what you've played, H2, H4, just somehow Black's not getting disturbed after advancing his pawn shield. He's doing pretty okay.
Yeah, and I guess in these particular situations where that we have in the game, right, where white is not really going for the whole keeping the pawn on E4, F3, and then C5, then the space that you've gained on the queen side isn't that useful. So in that sense, I would say black is doing fairly okay here. H3.
That looks timid to me. I don't quite know what
Yeah,
that
I
does.
guess he's intending some kind of knight H2 at some point, taking some control over light squares, but Hikaru is happy here. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So plant the knight on F4, Peter.
Yeah, this is what
your-
I've been looking at. Knight G6, Knight F4.
Your arrows are anytime Peter's on the attack, everybody, you'll see his arrows improving incredibly well. Put the knight on F4, Peter.
I'm not sure we need to do it immediately. I'm also looking at the move like Queen D7, keeping things slightly more flexible. But yeah, I guess we can do, because I was worried about Bishop D3, but I guess we can play Queen D7 here.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is, once again, in a must-win game, how happy are we about the fact that white can actually get the queens off here?
I would say not very happy at all. I would say that this is a position advantage white.
Yeah, and in this particular endgame, I think we are quite happy we played H3, because some kind of an expansion with G4 and H5 would be quite useful to black, but it's unavailable.
Yeah, this is just good for white, I think. I mean, the only chance you could see for black is some quick C6, but I don't believe it.
Yeah, he's played Queen E8.
So he wants the queen on F7 or G6 maybe. G6 looks weird.
Yeah, G6 kind of gets in the way of his own play, I think, a little bit. You are still, let's say, you imagine, I don't know which passing move to make for white, but after Queen G6. You're still not threatening G4 because Knight H4 is very painful. So it's... by the way, do we never play G5, G4 in these types of positions, or is there kind of a set of circumstances where it might be useful? Well, not after Knight H2. I mean, we can probably withdraw that question.
Peter, by the way, I think we have a tweet dedicated to you from Mr. Dodgy saying, bizarre move by Hikaru when Bishop F5. Clearly the move A6, which would achieve the symmetrical bathtub, was the way to go. I think the viewers are still waiting for A6 and your thoughts on the symmetrical bathtub.
Very much, and
there
it is. There it is.
Oh, the symmetrical bathtub on the board, everybody. Now we are happy.
Now we are ecstatic indeed. Yeah, I've raises some questions, honestly. Like Hikaru and Dodgy are an unlikely dream team, but if that ever happens, that collab would be, one for the ages.
Serious romance, which raises the question, wasn't A5, A6 something that white could have aspired to? And
that must have explained A6. That's the only explanation I have, because I don't think in this position black has, time to spare. So if he chose to spend the tempo on A6, he was probably worried about A6, B6, Knight B5 in some positions.
A future day, yeah, like Knight B5 might have just put the full clamp on the queen side. Knight H2, and well, he's taken the G4 square under control. Magnus, do you like this?
Yeah, I think Ding has made considerable progress here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the bishop will go to G4 probably.
Yeah, or just D3 also.
Yeah, also that. Yeah, bishop takes. Yeah, both options seem fine, but I guess D3 is just simpler. Play bishop D3, trade those off, plant the knight on E4, and start pushing for C5, like the old-fashioned way of playing these positions.
And I have to say, now the rook looks pretty good on I2.
Mm-hmm. It goes to C2 later potentially and supports the C5 play.
Which begs the question, gentlemen, why aren't we afraid as black of allowing bishop G4 to bishop E6? Isn't the bishop like nice?
But you go on knight F5.
Just stopping it. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I sort of feel like bishop D3 is it's a bit more to the point.
And time, well.
By the way, if you really want to make a draw here with whites, I can imagine something like bishop G4, knight F5. Just chop it off. And then you go knight E4, or even g4. You just set up with g4, knight e4, f3, and then what?
Yeah, but I don't think it's called for. I think bishop.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, because I think Ding at this point probably feels like he is reasonably safe and has a not insignificant chance of just not having to play the next black game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, for our viewers, Hikaru Nakamura trails this match 1.5 to a half. If Ding Liren should win, he's in the semifinals. And that was very important, Magnus, because as we came on show, we were explaining, Anna did a great job of explaining why this particular matchup is really crucial for the finals. That if Hikaru were to win this match, he would go on to play in the Legends and likely absolutely secure a spot should somebody like yourself win 2 of the events.
Well, that's his problem, not mine, right?
Good point. But you set it up. But when the whole Magnus Carlsen tour was being set up, you wanted to reward people who played in the tournaments and got deep into the quarters or the semis or the finals.
Yeah, so we just gone f3.
Do you like that? I wasn't going to touch that pawn, to be honest.
No, but I don't particularly mind.
Yeah, I was wondering about even maybe the immediate c5, because I want my rook on c2, and
yeah, but the immediate c5, queen f7, you know, things can get out of hand.
Yeah, possibly.
d5 is a bit weak.
f3, queen f7 played. The issue for black here is that h5 is extremely difficult / impossible to achieve because of how weak the pawn on g5 is. If you go knight d4, you instantly allow bishop e3, and but actually that's one of my points. Now with the pawn on f3, I am much less sure about, let's just get the structure on the board. I'm much less happy about this with white because bishop e5, queen f4 becomes, you know, a part of the like we can probably control it, but it wasn't there at all if the pawn was on f2.
No, I think also for black here, you gotta give serious considerations to rook d8 and then c6. I mean, okay, so he's gone rook d8.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most probably you just weaken your position, but you got to do something. And there's not a lot of there aren't a lot of active plans. You can plant your knight on d4 whenever you want, but then white goes bishop e3. And the pawns on the king side are never ever advancing, so the only active play is c6.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Do we try to stop it, or?
So clearly Ding with rook f2, he believes that this should not be stopped.
So let's imagine bishop b2, c6. We trade once on c6, queen d2. Is black really going to go d5?
Well, maybe not straight away, but you can start dreaming about it. You can start maybe preparing for it. And Ding has gone bishop b1, which is also a nod in that direction, but probably more of a nod in the direction of c6, and I say nothing. And I invite you to take on d5, and then maybe I take the queens off the board, perhaps.
Yeah, but you go knight d4, then d5 is attacked.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he's lost the thread a little bit. I think there must have been a way to play more precisely from here.
Yeah, because I mean, objectively, if black just waits here, I don't think it's too easy to do much with white. I mean, you got a nice position, but whenever you start doing something active, then black's probably not going to be too unhappy about it. So
yeah, it's a different equilibrium to maintain here.
We've just seen the move king g8 h8. Good waiting move, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, if we are planning to break something open in the center, I guess removing any kind of tactical questions about the queen and the king on the same diagonal is not bad, even though it looks extremely remote and not that relevant.
Yeah, but I guess after c6 it could become relevant, but it's always a difficult choice here to choose a square, right? Because it could be useful to in some lines, exactly as on bishop b2 now, that either bishop takes g6 or bishop takes g7 would be a check. And like as you said, it's extremely remote, but it might be relevant. So you really don't love any of these squares for the black king, but you have to choose something.
Okay, more directly, Hikaru trailing in the match. What can he do to disturb Ding Liren, Peter?
I think in particular his last few moves are very much an indication that he feels he should postpone opening the position until there's less time on the clock. So once again, it's maybe an oversimplification, but I do feel that his play here is very indicative of somebody who doesn't really want give Ding anything concrete to calculate when there's still 7 minutes on the clock, which is a good, I think, good practical choice.
I like this move by knight h4, don't you? Ideas of maybe bishop f5 and bishop h3, or potentially bishop f5 and routing the knight to f4.
Yeah, I think that's his plan. Bishop h3 is unrealistic, but he just wants to get the knight to f4, and then, you know, queen g6, maybe h4, g4.
b4,
h5, g4, sorry.
Yeah, b4, b5. Now it gets exciting.
Interesting that Ding is the first one to break the deadlock here with b5. I guess he doesn't really feel like waiting for another 5 moves. I was looking at knight g3 there. I was something I was kind of curious about. Was just trying to trade some pieces, but I guess queen f4 is a little bit awkward.
Did you say breaking the bathtub deadlock?
Something along, the bathtub is in severe danger now. It might completely disintegrate.
Okay. You gotta consider AB here. CB, then knight goes to f5.
Yeah, and start.
Or maybe rook a8 first at some point.
Okay, I guess he wants to go bishop c3, right? And then
I guess that's more useful for white than for black. Sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, like we now have given white some clear plans too. Although, I mean, I have to pay attention to the...
No, but that's exactly the point. Like, knight d4 might just win a pawn.
Yeah, I've managed to place my pieces on such squares.
I mean, there's queen c... there's queen b3, but
there is queen b3, yeah, but I don't like any of that. Yeah. What's the threat from white? Is he intending to go b6 or ba and something? Like, why has he played b5?
I think b6 must be his idea.
Absolutely. I think b6 is potentially huge. I mean, I could see black center with b6 and bishop a3 kind of collapsing unless some action on the queen side, king side, pardon me, by black, stops white from just realizing a breakthrough.
And Hikaru somehow completely ignored it, which I really don't think I like. He played bishop f5, b6, knight g6, and now yes, the knight is, well, g3. Maybe it's just great. Maybe it's a very clever move.
Yeah, that's a move of a confident man.
Yeah, wow. But yeah, you really have to believe in your ideas here. And bishop h3, maybe even the immediate knight takes g5 might be decent.
Yeah.
Or rook h2 first. I don't know which one is stronger. That is also a very good option. So he's saying h3 is not hanging. He's also saying you have just spent 3 tempi preparing a maneuver which leads absolutely nowhere, and now I will start playing on the queen side.
Yeah, I really think you had to go AB and then knight f5 to have any chance.
And by the way, this rook on f2 is certainly a marvelous defender. It's turned out to be a stroke of genius. It just feels like Ding Liren has played this opening as a man who just knows what he's doing. This is all looking great.
I think this is just a very poor position for black now. Just something like king g2. I don't know if we need to even, or bishop. Let's say we can go directly bishop a3, knight c8, queen b3, or something like this. And And then eventually we will play c5 and everything will start crumbling. White is sort of better everywhere here.
I really, I mean, I'm just repeating myself here, but I really hated bishop f5 there.
Yeah, that seemed strange. Allowing b6.
Yeah, you just, good or bad, you just had to take on b5, weaken d5, and try to get counterplay this way.
Absolutely.
Queen b3 played, and
White has realized all of his plans, and Black really just doesn't have anything to show. By the way, even with the knight on c8, the funny thing is,
can we take? I guess we just played maybe we just played g4 here, and we kind of collected quietly.
Yeah, there's a g4, and Magnus, you had mentioned some ideas like this even earlier. This g5 is hanging as well, Peter. There, so oops.
Yeah. And maybe we are also threatening g3, g4 right now for
exactly. That was indeed exactly.
And then Black really has nothing to show for anything. Like his position is, yeah, that's the kind of position I used to get in the King's Indian, which is why I abandoned the opening.
How do you get these kind of positions via knight bd7?
You not these. I think I got something close to this against Lukey once in a Monaco tournament. And that probably was the final nail in the coffin, because we all love Lukey, but when Lukey starts giving you positional lessons like this, you feel like maybe the opening has something to do with it.
Yeah, then you trick him. That's the...
No, I lost the game horribly. No.
Okay, sure. Oh, I was expecting a different ending to that story.
No. None of my pieces ever recovered, and I just lost the game. Like, for him, I think it was very much like a simul game. I'm sure he won games like this in simul.
It was such a promising story, Peter. I mean, sorry that you had to suffer through that. That's brutal, man.
Bishop h7 played, which is, I think we can describe it as a move.
Yeah, if you were to compare this exact position to, say, the position 10 moves ago, you would say that Black has
gone backwards everywhere. Yeah,
go backwards, and White has a pawn on b6, there's a knight on c8. Yeah, it's all gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, this is not good. And
again, just to boldly mention the obvious, should Ding Liren win this game, he'll have an appointment with Magnus Carlsen in the semifinals.
Yeah, and Rook d1 is a very logical move here, just reinforcing the pawn on d5 and preparing c5. And Hikaru goes bishop g8, which I suspected was the idea of bishop h7, but it really doesn't make it any better. It's a very, very unpleasant position to look at. King g2, just enjoy it. Like you.
Yeah, King g2, Rook h1, h4 is also.
Thank you, Magnus. Exactly. King g2, Rook h1, h4, and who's attacking whom on the king side? That looks terrible.
Yeah, and the amazing part about this position is also that there's this the pawn on b6, and Black cannot attack it with any other pieces. So White is not even tied down to
Rook d7, Queen e7, Rook d8.
And then I go bishop c1, bishop e3, and I say, you forced me to do something I kind of wanted to do anyway.
Yeah, but then you double the rooks on the F file, and you have one threat.
Yeah, no, it's
no, this is bad.
I can see both are a little chess sadists there. I mean, this just so bad for
I think every good chess player is a bit of a sadist.
Exactly.
And also, I wanted to point out that this might be winning by force, ? Probably not. Yeah, probably we don't need to allow rook takes d5 and start calculating. I still feel like it might be very good, but
there's a nice line here.
Something like bishop a2 here, and I don't know. What line? Tell me.
Okay, that was nonsense. That was I mean, I knew that it wouldn't work, but it doesn't work for a number of reasons. I was thinking, take everything on d5, take b7, and then take f8 and bishop e4. There are many reasons it doesn't
Yeah,
work.
but mainly because there's knight takes b6 in the end. Yeah. Oh,
No,
hang on. No, not that one. Not that one. Not that
yeah,
one.
knight b6 and bishop c5.
Yeah, but we're actually not losing then. I thought we were
Yeah,
losing,
the
but we're
bishop.
not.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and he has played king g2, and Hikaru goes back to h7, which means that now we can play c5 without even sacrificing anything if we want to.
Then I think that's Black's only hope, really. You take on e4, you take on c5, you go.
You take on e4 first, and then you take on and you go knight d6, and you claim this is the best position you've had in the game or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which probably ends up not being true.
No, it's still pretty horrible. Let's say queen b4.
Yeah,
maybe.
queen b4, rook c1 or something. Yeah, yeah, we'll see. c5 played. dc5, knight c5. I think probably is. Is it? Yeah, because we're still losing the d5 pawn after bishop takes b1. So I was very attracted to the idea of landing the knight on e6, but it might not actually happen here.
No.
dc played, and yeah, okay, knight takes e5. Interesting. So he's calculated something here.
And
bishop
Hikaru's
b1.
looking at it and
This
saying,
just seems unnecessary.
yeah, do I have a chance?
Rook takes b1. Okay, so he is intending to, after rook d5, I'm sure there's some tactical something which works. I understand it's not very specific, but knight a6. So I was even looking at knight b7. Knight a6, I mean, I don't want to win that one. I want to win this one.
No, but the thing is, you get knight c7.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, rook fd8, knight c7, rook d7. I'm still pretending I'm alive somehow. And after knight b7, like I don't know if I'm winning here, but I wouldn't be surprised if I was with white, like something like rook c2, and I think it lands on c7 in many cases and probably ends the game. Who knows? But yeah, it feels a little bit like.
Isn't there queen takes d5 in that position?
Queen takes d5. I thought we'd take and take on b7, and because the pawn is protected.
Sorry. Another position where there was a queen on b7. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm still not sure because there's rook f6 here.
Knight d6.
Yeah, that is good. That is good.
That's a nasty.
Yeah, and Hikaru declines the invitation, goes rook fe8. That is very surprising to me because, like, we know what this position is.
Disaster.
Yeah, we
What
don't
are you
really.
talking about? Black has a passed pawn.
Oh yeah.
That guy over there is a passed pawn. If the world
A
champion says so.
protected passed pawn.
Yeah, but now we go like rook c1, c7, and everything starts crumbling. Right? He's played rook c1 already.
Yeah, rook c1.
Rook c7 looks quite clean.
Yeah, we can also take on e7 first, but we don't need to. Yeah, because do we 95?
Yeah,
I guess
queen d5.
Yeah, I guess we end up winning this. Are we like rook b5 here?
Oh, I missed rook
b2.
Rook b2 maybe is still winning, but it feels like bishop takes e7 is just cleaner. Why are we giving up any of our stuff?
By the way, when you see the move bishop e7 and you think about the worst kind of King's Indian endings where the bishop on g7 versus a good knight.
Yeah, we could also, talking about chess sadism. How about this?
That's a
how about
that knight on e4 is a real Thor, a god of thunder.
How about this? Yeah, it's just not great.
It's
bringing back very painful memories, as I said.
Wow. That would be a very, very enjoyable position for the Chinese Grandmaster. Time.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
No, really? Oh my
God.
God.
I mean, I think it's a very decent technical solution here, honestly, unless there's rook c8 there.
No, but rook c8, rook c2.
Yeah. He's gone rook c7. He can still do it here. It's still is completely winning if he wants. I don't think anything changed. So. But rook c2 is probably just cleaner. Just go in for the kill, land the second one on c7 and win.
Yeah. No, this is just a absolutely dreadful positional.
e4, active play.
Yeah, you have to play e4, but sadly for you, I think...
liberating the bishop.
Yeah, you liberate it and then it gets captured on g7, which is...
Party pooper.
Yeah, I know. I apologize.
That is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Bad indeed. Well, I mean, if this position holds up, you'll have an appointment with Mr. Dinglerin, Magnus. How do you feel about them apples?
It's gonna be tough. Obviously, but I mean, I always give the same answer. It's gonna be tough, but I feel good, so I'm not gonna.
And
But he's shown in these tournaments, and I think especially in this match that he has got some serious positional chops. Like he can just run you over with without giving you counter chances in a lot of games. So yeah, he's extremely strong, of course.
well, number 3 player in the world, playing in the candidates tournament. The talk on the street is which player would give you the greatest challenge in a world championship match. Fabi and Dinglerin were 2 of the biggest vote getters. So a lot of people are going to be watching your semifinal match with a great interest.
So he just resigned after Queen A4.
Yeah, after Queen A4, he gets mated or loses like a full rook in most lines. I think I was trying to show the lines while you were speaking.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just a completely lost position. So
that was a real disaster. And there you have it, the final score in this quarterfinal, 2.5, half the semifinals, which will begin tomorrow, same time, same channel, have been secure, and we have the 4 semi-finalists. Again, Magnus, sorry, you got. I think you got cut off there. Have you played? Well, no. I mean, of course, you played them a lot. I'm just trying to think of a match.
No, I mean, in the first Invitational, I played against Sting.
Yeah.
I drew the first, then lost the second, and somehow won the last 2 miraculously. So it's obviously going to be tough. I lost the playoff in the Sinkfield Cup as well.
Exactly. I recall you playing a big blitz rapid match in Sinkfield Cup where you.
Those were better times.
Yeah, that was a really, really, really fantastic demonstration. But as you pointed out, the Sinkfield Cup, that things went wrong there for you.
So I think it all comes down to the one thing that sort of bodes well for me is the starting time, right? Because he's going to be playing in the middle of the night,
midnight time or so.
And there was this match that we played in Blitz and Rapid, and it was in 2017 in the fall, and he wasn't quite as strong then as he is now. And that match I just dominated.
Right.
And then we had the tiebreak match in the Sinkfield Cup, which started at like 10 in the morning. And that was just impossible for me. I mean, I had no chance at 10 o'clock in the morning. And this one, I guess I got to drag the matches out, right? To get it to midnight for him, or even worse. That's my best chance, I think.
And I believe your opponent is smiling since he has joined the call as well. Welcome to the show, Dinglerin, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Ding. We have Magnus, your opponent for tomorrow on the line. Any messages you'd like to give to Magnus?
Well, it's a very exciting match ahead. And just enjoy the game.
Excellent.
Very happy to play against Magnus since we have played a lot of exciting and fighting games, and I hope we can still produce many interesting encounters.
How did you feel today? Things went well for you.
Yeah, in the second game, some key point, especially when I play Rook A8. After that, I found my position much better. It just worked. Yeah, here if he play Queen A1, then A3, the point. Knight A3, Rook A5, Knight C4, Bishop C4, Bishop takes, and Knight A2.
Oh, this is very nice.
Yeah, Bishop A3 and Bishop B4. This is what I found.
Beautiful calculation there, Ding.
Yeah, it should be better for black. Overall, there's a smooth win.
Yeah, game 3 was really impressive. Magnus was with us throughout, and he said you showed some positional chops, some good understanding in this game 3, even a master class.
Yes, I myself played with King's India many times ago before.
Magnus felt that he had to play A6 takes B5, even if it's a bad position, but he thought the move Bishop F5 was a bad move.
Mm-hmm. But now I can create postpone A6.
Certainly, but maybe black has better counterplay here compared to the game, because in the game, I think in 3 moves time, you're just completely winning.
Yeah, I have my center too strong.
Hmm.
I can slowly improve my position without any risk.
We were particularly impressed by the move G2, G3. When it was shown on the board, we go, right. Even Magnus said that is the move of a confident man. At this moment, you felt very, very good about your position. Yes?
Yeah, it's very important to restrict his knights.
And you accomplished that very nicely. Peter, any questions for Dingler?
I think I wanted to ask if at any point in game 2, let's say when you got to let's say this position, did you feel that White had, let's say, if you play slowly here, do you think there might be a chance that White holds this? Or
yeah, of course. If I didn't break through with F5, then after Knight G3, I don't see how to make progress. My king, I placed my king to D3, but then he just played Bishop G1, Bishop 2.
So in this position, let's say the king gets here, but then he still has moves to make, and there is no progress. Yeah.
Yeah.
But after F5, you feel there is no defense here. Yeah.
Actually, I didn't see how to win if he didn't play H5.
Exactly. This is what another point that we were discussing, that if he waits here, how do you force him to...
Maybe there are some that's wrong.
We were looking at something like just knight e4, knight g3 here, and
yes, queen on g6.
okay.
Yeah. And c6, but now king h3. But now queen f6.
And now queen f6, yeah, and yeah, I guess it always happens somehow.
He can play king h3. Oh, king h3 also king f6.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to play h5 anyway.
And then we get back to what happened in the game, yeah. No, I don't think I have any questions. I just wanted to say extremely well played today, and congratulations, and good luck for the rest of the tournament.
Absolutely. And does that hold a moment, Ding? Does our social media have some questions for our final semi-finalist?
I think the viewers are extremely happy to have Dingliren with us. They were asking me already the previous broadcast to when we will have the world number 3 joining us. So everyone is really excited. And I wanted to ask about your experience the other day playing Banter Blitz. From what I heard, tens of thousands of people were watching in China, and your grandmaster friend was hosting it in Chinese as well. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, of course, it's much better to speak Chinese during the game. Since if I speak English like in the first time I play banter. Then I will only focus on the game to say what I will play next and what's my plan. But if I communicate with Li Chao, and there are also many questions from the spectators, from the fans, then of course also Chinese is my native language, so I feel much relaxed when speaking Chinese.
That's totally understandable, and it must have been an amazing experience for all your fans in China and outside China. I see so many people in the chat, in the English language chat as well, rooting for you. Congratulations again on making it to the semifinals. And as we announced, Ding Liren's opponent is the world champion, Magnus Carlsen, starting tomorrow.
Thank you, Anna. Ding, I have one final question before I let you get to sleep, because it's very late in China there for you. I noticed that your countrywoman, Hu Yifan, was playing Banter Blitz before we came on the show. Tell us your thoughts about Hu Yifan.
Of course, as a chess player, she's very, very strong. But now maybe she is more focused on his study, but also his social activities. Maybe he's not totally focused on the chess, since he has many other things to do. But of course, I hope she'll get back to the elite tournament.
Yeah, as do we all. We sure hope she does come back to chess. She is missed. Thank you very much for joining us. Get yourself some sleep. You've got an important game tomorrow against a good opponent. Thank you very much, Dick.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now. And Peter, if you could sum up today.
Well, today was I feel a masterclass by Ding Liren. He played game one was a very correctly played Catalan, which ended as correctly played Catalans often do in a draw. And then games 2 and 3, I think Ding played better than Hikaru, quite simply, and very, very well. There were moments during game 2 where Hikaru maybe could have played better, and maybe his position wasn't all that bad in parts of it, but if you look at the overall picture, Ding took more precise decisions throughout that game, and eventually his very sharp tactical solutions and his general understanding have prevailed. In particular, if you look at the sequence starting from probably a somewhat optimistic move, knight b2 c4 here by Hikaru, allowing a4. And if we look at the position 5 moves later, Black is suddenly winning a lot of material. And although during the broadcast we thought maybe Black would have converted cleaner, but in the end, Ding Liren did not really have too much trouble dismantling this attempted fortress by the American. And then game 3, to my eyes, was maybe even more impressive because Hikaru is a very, very accomplished player of the King's Indian. And he was, at least in the last 10 moves, he was made to look, I mean, his position looked exactly like the King's Indian positions aren't really supposed to look. White achieved absolutely everything on the queen side without allowing any counterplay, frankly, on the king side. And this is not how I expected that game to go when I saw, let's say, some position around move 15, where it still looked like there's plenty of play and Black has all kinds of plans to sharpen things up. But Ding played very confidently without really ever losing control over the proceedings, and I think emerges as a very deserved winner of today's set and the entire match.
Absolutely. And before I set the semifinals match, I just want to ask you about your own professional schedule. there. Peter, are you going to be with us tomorrow?
I think I'm not. As far as I know, tomorrow I'm skipping a day, and I will be ably replaced by Sam Shankland.
Okay.
So the viewers have that to look forward to. But I will be back for much of the conclusion of the event. Might skip
Wonderful.
one more day somewhere.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Peter. And Anna, get the last word from the social media crowd. What did they think of today's match, and what do you have? What's trending?
I think simply everyone is amazed by, of course, the quality of play of the world number 3, Ding Liren. Lots of fans of Hikaru being said that Hikaru will not continue with us for the rest of this event. But remember, guys, he's doing very well overall. So we may see him in the next leg of the Magnus Carlsen chess tour, and maybe even in the grand finale. So Hikaru overall is still doing very well in terms of the standing points, which we were trying to describe earlier. Who are not doing very well. I was looking at our predictions, guys. We were trying to predict these pairs, and from the Grishu Giri match, I was the only one who picked Anish, so I got that one right. But between Ding Liren and Hikaru Nakamura, it was only Peter who picked Ding Liren, so none of us are on 2 out of 2, I'm afraid, in our little fantasy contest.
Doesn't sound like we're doing well, but in any case, here are the semifinalists. Your semifinalists: Magnus Carlsen versus Ding Liren, and Jan Nepo versus Anish Giri. Will be contested same time, same channel. Looking forward to those semifinals, and a big shout out to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for joining us. Let your friends know where you're hanging out, and join us for tomorrow. In the meanwhile, have a good night. Bye, everyone.
If you're a chess player, you have plenty of opportunities to challenge and play online against the top players participating in the Chessable Masters Super Tournament. Don't miss the opportunity to learn from the best. Check out the Chess24 shows area and tune in for banter blitzes with the likes of Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano Caruana, Alexander Krischuk, and Pentala Harikrishna. Go premium at Chess24 to challenge them and gain full access to the world's most entertaining chess platform.
Every battle is won by preparation. We've taken one of the most popular chess books ever written and rewired it for the modern player, The Art of Attack. Learn with Chessable's state-of-the-art move trainer technology, presented by myself, Grandmaster Simon Williams. I'll talk you through 29 hours worth of educational video content, from attacking the uncastled king, bishop sacrifices, diagonal attacks, and classic pawn storms. Paint your opponent's king into a corner with the art of attack.
Hello, this is Christoph Zielecki, and welcome to my Keep It Simple 1d4 course.
Now anyone can learn and improve their chess skills with the world champion, Magnus Carlsen. The Magnus Trainer app is packed with fun mini-games and interactive training content, playable anytime, anywhere. Get the Magnus Trainer, available in the App Store and Google Play.
Hello, this is Christoph Zielecki, and welcome to my Keep It Simple 1e4 course.